Audible at the back? Thank you. Thank you. So we're just about to start a session, and thank you very much for us. So, first of all, thank you very much for having us gathered around here. Really grateful for this opportunity, and somehow these things come along a little bit less, especially from the technical perspective. So I'm really grateful, and I think on behalf of everybody, we do thank you, and a big hand for you. Thank you very much. And when we start, so the topic that has come in, I think so we are able to display it here. So it's primarily the infrastructure development and how to overcome the infrastructure development challenges while taking into preview the technological advancements. The sessions that have been conducted since morning, and when we look at the overall concept of this whole 2 day sessions which are going on, it's basically built around it. And while I was preparing for it, so it was a very interesting thing that came to my mind, was that when we look at the most impactful inventions which have been there over the period of time, so it's been wheel is one of the important inventions which has come in, and then of course is the binary, which is the internet. And while we are discussing, and today also the discussion that would be moving around would be a combination of these two, because wheel was the first and foremost thing which led towards the roads and the infrastructure and the development of cities and all that. So with this introduction, I'll just lay out how we plan to conduct this session. My apologies that it got a little bit late. We have 1 hour for this, right? So we'll try to be brisk, we'll try to be relevant, and take it on accordingly. We'll have a round of introductions, and then there are a few topics that I need to touch upon. And while in the introductions, definitely we would be getting to know the area of expertise and the relevance from the expert panel as well. So my name is Bilal Bashirji. I'm a civil engineer, and it's been about 3 decades. I've been working in various organizations in Pakistan, both in the public and private sector. Nowadays, I'm part of Jaffer Brothers. So moving from the technical side and the project management side, I'm more into towards the sales, and I would say that now the movement is more towards mining and ultra mining. That facet is there, but definitely, while when I look at my tenure in Dascon and then the affiliation with Interwood and Ravi Urban Development Authority, so there have been certain insights and experiences that I've been lucky enough to gather, and I hope that would enable me to add value to this session today. So with this, I'll hand over the mic, and we can have an introduction from the panel, and then we can move on. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bilal sir. I'm Sadaf from NESPARK. I'm Principal Geotechnical Engineer. I did my graduation from UET in 2004. And right after that, I joined NESPARK. And since then, I'm in NESPARK. So I'm holding the position of Principal Geotech Engineer in NESPARK.
Assalamualaikum. I'm Gohar Ayub Izhar, Director of Izhar Construction Private Limited. And I joined my company in 2013. I'm from the third generation of Izhar, alhamdulillah. Izhar established back in 1959. So now, alhamdulillah, we are in the 7th decade. And recently, we have just finished the Dorman Mall, Packages Mall. These are the latest and the structures that we have done. And alhamdulillah, Izhar is covering all kind of structures from, high-rise structures to the industrial structures, and also providing the electromechanical facilities also. Thank you.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम रहमतुल्लाह। मेरा नाम जी इंजीनियर हाफिज़ अब्दुल्ला महमूद है। मैं 98 में पास आउट हुआ था यूटी लाहौर से, और तकरीबन अब समझ लीजिए 26 साल हो गए हैं। शुरू में कुछ अर्सा नेस्पाक में गुजारा, और उसके बाद से हमारी अपनी कंपनी है इत्तफाक कंस्ट्रक्शन के नाम से। 2 फील्ड्स हैं जिसमें हम लोग काम करते हैं। कंस्ट्रक्शन है जो कि कमर्शियल, रेजिडेंशियल और मोर इंडस्ट्रियल, मुख्तलिफ़ किस्म के जो स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं, जिसमें प्रीफैब स्ट्रक्चर्स भी आ जाते हैं और पीबी स्ट्रक्चर्स भी आ जाते हैं, आरसीसी स्ट्रक्चर्स आ जाते हैं उनकी तरफ। और इसी तरह हमारी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यूनिट है जहां पर हम लोग प्रीकास्ट कंक्रीट के प्रोडक्ट्स बनाते हैं, गर्डर्स, स्लैब्स, डबल टीज़ और मुख्तलिफ़ चीज़ें। तो इसी काम में तकरीबन 26 साल गुजर चुके हैं, अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह काम चल रहा है। और इस हवाले से जो भी जहन में कुछ प्रैक्टिकल हमारे एक्सपीरियंसेस हैं वो इंशाल्लाह आप लोगों के साथ शेयर करेंगे। बहुत शुक्रिया।
Assalamu alaikum. Bashir Ahmed Nadir. I'm from Descon Engineering. Right now working as a project manager, ExxonMobil project. I completed with Descon, Hyundai Nishat, Pakistan Aluminium Beverage, Mehran Butter projects.
Thank you very much. And I think a big hand for the panelists. A lot of experience here, lot of legacy here, and definitely we look forward to benefit from it. So as the topic is, I would open the discussion in a manner, if we can put to the table as professionals when we see overcoming infrastructure development challenges. So what are to us the most impactful challenges that we see in the current situation as well once we are handling the projects, and also in the foreseeable future. So we can start from Sadaf. So we can each have one challenge, and then
I think that this would be more relevant if the construction people may start it, because my relevance is more towards the geotechnical engineering. So once they will start it, then I will gradually shifting towards the foundation side and the soil side.
Actually, okay, so we are building from top to bottom, not from the foundation to the top. Okay, so Gaurav, if you can share.
The main problem that we face nowadays in the construction industry is the planning. So whenever we hand it over the project from the client, so the main thing that is lacking is the planning.
Okay.
So, and especially the civil structure drawings and coordination with the electromechanical drawings. So that's why the problem, the main thing usually happen during the raft phase, the foundation substructure and superstructure works. It's supposed to be all the drawings, electromechanical and the civil structure drawings should be coordinated. And nowadays, so many softwares available in the market now, especially, everybody know about the BIM. So that will help you to, that will help you to coordinate all the drawings before time, and will, point out the errors, and so that it will ease the process of execution also.
Great, thank you. जी अब्दुल्ला साहब.
अगर ये बात शुरू हुई तो मैडम ये कहा कि हमें कंस्ट्रक्शन से रिलेटेड लोग हैं उनसे बात को शुरू करना चाहिए, लेकिन मैं थोड़ा सा इससे डिसएग्री करूंगा इस लिहाज से कि देखिए जो फाउंडेशन ख़ासतौर पे जो जियोटेक का एनालिसिस है वो इस कदर इम्पॉर्टेंट है कि हमारी जो डिज़ाइनिंग है और हमारी जो कॉस्ट इफ़ेक्टिवनेस है किसी भी कंस्ट्रक्शन को करते हुए, मिसाल की बात है कि अगर हम यही हमें नहीं मालूम कि हमारा स्टाटा जो है वो स्टाटा किस तरह से बिहेव कर रहा है और उसके लिए हमें किस तरह की फाउंडेशन चाहिए, तो एक रॉ इंजीनियर या जिसके पास ज़्यादा एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है वो एक ऐसी फाउंडेशन को डिज़ाइन कर सकता है जो कि ना तो रियलिस्टिक होगी और ना ही इकनॉमिकल होगी। तो हर किसी को अपना काम करना चाहिए। कुछ अर्सा चूँकि मुझे भी नेस्पाक में काम करने का मौका मिला तो वहाँ पे चूँकि मुख्तलिफ डिवीजन्स हैं और हर डिवीजन कोऑर्डिनेटेड है, इसी वजह से जो नेस्पाक our project as a specialized project in a sense that every department should take its responsibility, and only then the coordinated efforts will bear a good fruit, a good construction project, inshallah.
Right, thank you. So right now, when we look at these two challenges, so what's coming up as a common thing is the coordination, is the collaboration among interdisciplines, and not only the disciplines, but of course different departments within a how to say within an organization as well. So बशीर का point ले लें और फिर आपके पास आके conclude करते हैं. जी बशीर साहब.
अच्छा, हमारा जो टॉपिक था वो मेन ये था कि हमें चैलेंजेस क्या हैं इसमें इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में न्यू टेक्नोलॉजीज को, जैसे अब्दुल्ला ने कहा कि बीम है या नेवे से हम पाइपिंग वगैरह मॉडलिंग के लिए यूज़ करते हैं, इसी तरह IoT है, डिफरेंट आर्टिफिशियल AI अब आ गई है, तो उसमें काफ़ी सारी एडवांसमेंट आ गए। उसमें ये है कि इन्वेस्टमेंट हमें करनी पड़ेगी उसके लिए, क्योंकि लॉन्ग टर्म उसके बेनिफिट आने हैं। फर्स्ट टाइम तो एक बड़ी इन्वेस्टमेंट चाहिए होगी, जिसके बाद बड़ी कंपनियों को आगे आना होगा, ताकि ये इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव भी होना चाहिए और टाइम एफिशिएंट भी होना चाहिए।
Got it, जी, got it. जी मैम.
Thank you. Hafiz Saab has very rightly pointed out that the importance of geotechnical engineering cannot be ruled out. Before the start of any structure, the very first step that you have to follow is to carry out the geotechnical investigations. And for that, you have to meticulously design that what sort of structure that is going to be built above the soil, that you must know the intention of the structure, the stories of the structure, its complete configuration must be known before designing or before carrying out any geotechnical investigation. So Hafiz Saab has said that in Nest Park, yes, it's every facility is available almost under one roof, and from geotechnical till the execution until the completion, handing, taking, all the all the facilities for any project that is lying under one roof. So being a geotechnical engineer, yes, my role comes at the very first position. It starts from the conception of the geotechnical investigation, the very first stage that you would say. But before that, the thing that we need to do is that we also have to go for different other fields. So like in my division, for the very first thing that I will go, I will immediately call the geologist, I will immediately call the GIS specialist, I will immediately call the geophysicist. So these people, they will help me out in deciding or in deciphering that how I should plan my geotechnical investigation. Would be the very first step for designing. As far as the foundation is concerned, that totally depends on what the strata is coming after the investigation. Once that is revealed on and the laboratory testing is carried out, then we do the analysis and then we devise that with what sort of foundation design you have to go. So it's the step-by-step procedure. You have to follow that one by one, and then you give some input to the structural engineer for the design. Thank you.
Got it. Right. Thank you very much. So while we are discussing the challenges and being engineers, we've straight away gone deep into the technical side of it and into the collaboration side of it. So if I just zoom out a little bit on the infrastructure challenges discussion, and we look at the strategic perspective, we look at the long-term perspective, that what is actually impacting now and what is going to impact. It's not from the operational perspective, it is from a strategic perspective. If we look, so what challenge do we see coming up? Something which is changing the dynamics, and we see it in the news every day, occurring across the globe at some point of time. So what can be those things?
Okay, let me start it from first. Actually, the thing is that although we all are civil engineers, I believe, and some way or the other, we have read the geotechnical engineering in our BS engineering. So the first challenge that I mostly follow, that people still, they somehow deny the importance of the geotechnical engineering. We are always struggling with that this is the first and foremost thing, that your foundations should be safe, your structure should be safe. So you must understand the importance of this. And the second thing is that most of the time they don't give us the sufficient time to carry out such thing, but like they want such a quick thing that it should be somehow skipped and they should start with the construction.
Indicative BOQ issue कर दें, design issue होता है.
But like most of the time, especially in the government projects, what we have to face is that they say that forget about geotechnical investigation, give us the design of the foundation and we will start with, it will be done as a parallel activity in between the construction.
And we'll cover it in abundance. I've kept a complete section for that in this.
So this is the one of the biggest challenge that we have to face almost every day.
You're right. Ji.
Okay, मेरा ताल्लुक ज़्यादा execution से है, so I will talk about the management perspective, okay, for this point of view. Basically, when we in Pakistan now, I think the fast track construction is missing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we have to move forward towards the fast track construction now. I think I just give you an example of one of the structure we have done in the PC Hotel car park. It's a composite structure, and so it's the whole structure. The frame structure is in steel, and the slab is in concrete. So we have done that structure in just 3 months. Rather, if it was in conventional structure, then that's supposed to be done in 8 months. So I think we have to move forward some sort of new technologies, new way of construction, and new fast track construction.
Got it.
I think that's the best way to move forward if we have to achieve and develop Pakistan in the fast track.
Got it. And Jeev, so one thing that I think what I intend hinting towards is the environmental challenges, the climate change, which is going to come. For example, in the recent past, if we find flash floods, urban flooding coming up as a very serious challenge. We see a lot of sustainability challenges coming in, and while there is an abundance, so the balance of resources is actually tilting in not in favor to the residents or the city dwellers or even the dwellers of any place. So that is for example, Dubai was in the recent past when we see, so there was such heavy rainfall that people couldn't commute, and in fact I'm witness to that thing, that people had gone to Dubai for a meeting. They were sitting in the hotels and they had to just get out and get together in one hotel to have a meeting, and they couldn't, and they actually then connected on Teams and they conducted the meeting. So these challenges which are going to come up, but the point that again which comes is the way the resilience comes up in the planning. So that element I would Abdullah Sahab, if you can dwell a little bit further upon this, that the resilience of the design and the resilience of that engineering project, how can we enhance upon that?
Actually, the question is who will do this? I mean, this is very important. I mean, we are talking about the planning, the resilience, and the sanctity, and the good structures, rapid structures. I mean, everything is there, everything is okay, but who will do it? I mean, this is very important. The only forum from where we should actually start is the consultants. The constructors or the builders, they are to follow. And they are to follow the techniques and the guidelines. Like just I said, either you have to be professional or you have to buy a professional.
Right.
So whenever you try to do the things on your own, you definitely have a grave chance of committing mistakes. So the consultants have to be strong enough. They are to be equipped with the latest technologies, the latest information. And yes, we can plan for something, but God knows, Allah knows better. I mean, at some point of time, you have designed it perfectly, but it fails. So whatever you want to do, you have to, I mean, to the major extent, it should be done at the consultant platform, and the policy has to be given to the constructor, and that's a policy and that strategy has to be followed. Likewise, it should be monitored, it should be supervised, and lastly, I tell you, everything has its cost effect. This is I mean, a very bad habit or sort of a norm in our society, that we want to do the best and we want to pay the worst. So if these two things are to be in a side-by-side line, nothing good or nothing positive can happen.
Well, actually, what you have said in the end, that is what when we look at the point of innovation, and this is I think the dearth of resources is something which is hitting not only this part of the world, it is across the globe, that this problem is being faced, and subsequently the challenge which is coming up is the financing on that. So your input on the overall strategic challenge, and then we can move towards the next part of
अच्छा बिलाल साहब, हमें दो एस्पेक्ट पे जो है ना फोकस करना चाहिए. एक तो स्मार्ट इंजीनियरिंग सॉल्यूशन, स्मार्ट डिजाइन, जैसे इस बात कर रही थी. जब हम फाउंडेशन डिजाइन करते हैं, जियोटेक हमें बता देती है कि हमने शैलो फुटिंग में जाना है या डीप में जाना है. उसी वक्त हम ये भी डिसाइड करते हैं कि अगर डीप में जाना है कि पाइलिंग में जाएंगे, या उसमें शैलो में जाना तो राफ्ट में जाएंगे, आइसोलेटेड में जाएंगे, स्ट्रिप में जाएंगे. तो हम उस वक्त भी कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव हो सकते हैं. और दूसरे नंबर पे हमें जो है ना अब कन्वेंशनल कंस्ट्रक्शन टेक्निक से हटके फिर बिल्डिंग मटेरियल्स में भी हमें रिसाइकलेबल रीयूजेबल मटेरियल्स की तरफ जाना होगा, नए मटेरियल अडॉप्ट करने होंगे, और इन्वायरमेंट को अगर बचाना है तो फिर आपको कन्वेंशनल मटेरियल से भी निकलना होगा.
Exactly. You're absolutely right. And we'll cover this aspect subsequently. So now I have a question. I think BIM का आपने गौर जिक्र किया, and then you said that. So if you can because right now when we look at the execution part, so you're part of an outfit which actually is already adapting and adopting to this aspect. So when we look at BIM, we look at 3D printing, and so these are all the aspects. So is it something which you see? Is it something that is being practiced right now? And how do you see it being part of the norm subsequently in our local construction industry from the Pakistan's perspective?
BIM software is quite expensive to use, and we cannot afford to use in every project. Okay, so I think we have used in Dolmen Mall and some few other projects also. So nowadays, I think not few, very much. I think 2 or 3 companies only, I think, using BIM in Pakistan, and even the software cost is in millions, and even the staff operational cost is also in 2 or 3 lakhs you have to pay for the per person for the operation cost. So as a BIM, we can save a cost in terms of coordination, that we have to face the challenges in future. The BIM will point out before time actually. So it is a norm nowadays, because the multinational consultants that are working now in Pakistan, they force contractors to use BIM now.
Right. And if you could, like you mentioned, Dolmen, so if you could just give us a number, an indicative number, that what was the financial benefit that you guys had when you utilized this software, and what was in terms of, because even if it is in terms of time and coordination, so that again goes towards the cost reduction. So had you not used BIM, so what would have been the percentage increase in the cost which was saved?
In BIM, we have saved millions also, but we have spent in millions also, in BIM at Dolmen Mall also, in Dolmen Mall. The problem happened here because actually Dolmen Mall started in 2019 December. So the groundbreaking ceremony was in 2019, but after some COVID and then fluctuation in the market of the dollar, so they stopped execution of electromechanical works, and then it's finished in 4 years now. So BIM has helped us in terms of coordination with the civil drawings, in terms of coordination with the electromechanical drawings. If we were not the contractors of the electromechanical works in Dolmen Mall, but BIM's helped us to coordinate with the other contractors also.
Exactly.
So this means in one window operation, it is good. BIM is good, but in terms of different contractors working in one project, so BIM should be used for the coordination purposes.
And what we see is that, which is always the point with the new technology coming in, it is expensive at the outset, it is expensive at the start. But for example, if we look at ERP, so ERP softwares, when they were coming in, or planning softwares which were coming in, so organizations were not adopting them. But subsequently, when they realized the benefits and they saw others benefit from those, so it was a matter of time. But then now we see MS Project and Primavera and SAP and Oracle going into not only in large organizations, but they're being adopted by small to medium organizations as well. So yes, this is also something which is the technology evolution over a period of time, which can give us the cost effectiveness when we look at the cost saving overall. Right. Thank you very much. Thank you for your input. So I have another question. Dullah Sahib, if you can answer that, and then I'll come to you. So when we look at so you mentioned there's the modular, the discussion came up on the modular construction. So we can see the challenges, we can see the benefits of modular construction, but there can be certain challenges associated with that. So if you could just give us a little bit of your insight on the modular construction pros and cons of going
Okay,
forward
the
towards
first
this?
thing first, I mean, the first thing is, I will repeat again. The first thing is the proper design. And the design is so very important. I'm repeating it many times because, you know, if the design is faulty, you cannot achieve a good goal, a good economical fast track project, number one. Number two, how will you do it? Yes, BIM can work on it. Primavera can give you some insight as well. But the very important thing is the attitude you show and the aptitude you show towards your passion, towards your project. And the project manager and the team which is actually organizing everything is so very important. Material things, you know, it is always said, it's not the plane, it's the pilot in the plane who actually flies it. So motivation and organizing and managing your human resources is so very important. Number three, you need to actually use good materials. The good materials means the materials which gives you good strength. But normally, in our culture, the consultants or the people who are actually making their projects, they focus on certain brands. This is very sad because, you know, if you are talking about the codes, you need to actually come up with the acceptable solution in terms of strength. I mean, FC prime has to be 3,000 or had to 4,000 and whatever. And similarly, the grade has to be this much. But we people only focus on the brands. You have to use this. I mean, this the selection of the material is also very important. For that very purpose, you need to make the mentality. You have to develop the mentality of achieving the goal rather than just naming the brands in the market. Number four, the environmental aspect. I mean, the social impacts. I mean, in the start of the inaugural session, someone I don't know his name. He pointed out that on one canal, you should not live for just one family. 1,000 people can live on one canal. Well, okay, yes, this is okay, but you need to see that we are living in Lahore, where after the fourth floor, the intensity of heat is so much that it is not actually very fair to live on the upper floors. So you need to have the culture developed and also the facilities. That facilities, they are very expensive. And the client or the people who are living there, they are actually not very much like ready to pay for the cost of this living. So all these aspects, this involve the environmental aspects, the social aspects, the technical aspects, and the material you are using. Everything mix, and this makes the nexus of a comfortable and successful cost-effective project.
Right, but when you were mentioning about the materials, so when we look at the high rise and the cost of living, for example, or the cost of construction and handling of the materials, there is an advancement, and there's a lot of advancement into the building materials from the sustainability perspective and the insulation and the heat management perspective, that high rises are not only cost effective, but they are also sustainable from that perspective. So can you further develop on that? Uh, because what I don't understand is we can't go beyond a certain height because of the climatic concerns, and it is a brick and mortar construction that we are just looking for, not for any other options on that.
So the practical exposure is a very good like a litmus test. You see, in Lahore, there are so many high-rise buildings which are just empty. They are not occupied, even not for the office purpose. I mean, you go on the main boulevard, there are so many high-rise buildings which are the upper floors are all empty. So
Was it because of the design
no,
or because of the
this
culture?
this was not the because of the design. This is mainly because of the culture we are prevailing in here, right? And number one, number two, people don't actually want to live on the upper floors because there are so many limitations in there. But the thing is that if at all, we need to go on certain height buildings, we need to provide, like you said, the insulated materials. Insulated materials, they are very costly, very costly. Similarly, when we talk of the modular building structures, we come to the prefab structures.
Yes.
Just like I actually, he's my nephew. Izhar Saab is my uncle. So we are the family. Our Taya, Izhar Saab, my Taya, he started this prefab and
Yes.
precast products manufacturing. And this is so very successful in our culture. You know, multi-story building, they are built with the girders and slab system. They are very cost effective and they are working very fine. Similarly, you know, long span double T's, I have a lecture tomorrow, inshallah, and I will explain the precast concrete possibilities in Pakistan. There are possibilities that we can save our resources by going in the vertical, but on what cost? The cost of the construction, which you have to pay for the foundation, is so much. You know, the foundation cost is like 35 to 40%. If you are going actually for the high-rise buildings, the cost of the foundation is so much. Like, you know, in CBD, the height is limited to like 30 floors right now, just because our strata is not good enough to take the load. You have to go for the load-bearing piles then, which is very costly.
Which is very costly,
So
right, sir?
all these aspects have to be taken in account and taken into our exposure when we decide when we are going to vertical. Yes, we are saving, but what we are saving? You are saving just a piece of land, but on what cost?
Maybe
This is
not
very
today. Yeah, you're absolutely right. This approach at this point of time, once we have abundance of land with us, so maybe it's not that relevant. Singapore skyline actually says a different story. But I'll now divert myself from structures because वो मेरे theory of structures के उस्ताद यहाँ बैठे हैं और ज़्यादा मैंने structures पे अब आगे बात नहीं करनी वरना जो है ना वो फिर जो है वो सर अस्सलाम वालेकुम तो बात जो है ना वो दूसरी तरफ चली जाएगी. So coming towards geotech, when we are looking at the climate change, we are looking at the challenges which are coming up. So from a geotech engineer's perspective, so what are the main critical factors when it comes into the design phase that should be catered for at the ab initio once the design is being developed? So can you please shed some light on this?
Yeah. From the geotechnical point of view, recently, as you have just mentioned, that nowadays, from last 3-4 years, unprecedented floods that have been hitting the urbanized area, especially Lahore and Karachi and in Islamabad too, where the buildings are now being hit by the flash floods. So nowadays, for this point of view, apart from this, before answering this, I want to say that recently Punjab government has initiated a very good project, and in that project they are going to develop 8 or 9 huge reservoirs under the ground, and for those reservoirs they are there to get the rainwater. All the rainwater, they will run off towards those reservoirs, and then they will be collected, and ultimately they will submerged into the natural groundwater table, or this will not only rise the water table, depleting water table, which is currently depleting at a very high rate, because nowadays in highly urbanized area the water table is almost present at 35-meter depth. So we are actually losing that natural resource. So the one good thing is that instead of wasting that, the government has decided to reuse that. The same case had already been checked at the Lahore Orange Line Metro Train project, where we designed 2 huge water storage tanks. One was at Dera Gujram, where the huge reservoir had been created, and that reservoir, after collecting the water, it let the water to seep into the natural water table. And another is that near PIA Planetarium or something like Lakshmi, they have created such reservoirs. So one way or the other, government is doing to is trying their level best. And another thing is that they are now trying to uplift the subsurface sewerage schemes too, because now it's the old sewerage schemes that have been designed. Now they are redoing it one by one, division wise. They are enlarging the sewer pipe diameter, so that to cater the further the next 30 years or next 50 years. Second thing is that while designing or while conceiving the idea of geotechnical investigation, we face a lot of challenges, especially for the climatic changes. Yes, for example, for infrastructure development or area development, the very first thing that we see is what are the flood history of the area, what are the natural hazards of that area. We always compel our clients to go for the proper natural natural hazard studies. Natural hazard doesn't mean the flood. It includes the seismicity study, it includes the flood, it includes the rockfall or the slope stability analysis, and several other study, erosion analysis, drainage analysis, coverability analysis. So these things we always refer them to carry out first before going into the detailed design at the feasibility level stage. So these studies, if carried out properly, they will guide us or they will help us to dictate so many things in the start. I will give one of the classified example of a project where we had recently, like 2 years back, I was working on Kamra on NESTEP project. Over there, it was a classified project, and Pakistan Army Air Force is going to be make their a huge setup of the war weapons, and they want to make the specialized matlab equipment for the aircrafts. So, to our utter surprise, NESPA carried out the study, and we told them that it is very near to the fault line. Like it was, but like the structure, it after 2005 earthquake, it was given by the ERA this recommendation that for the specific projects like your strategic facilities, like your occupational facilities, they should be designed far away from, like at least I believe that, if I'm not wrong, 200 kilometer of the offset they should be constructed. So I mean to say that these are challenges that we have to face, and these climatic changes, once we devise the geotechnical investigations, we cater them.
Great. Thank you very much for this detailed explanation on that. And you actually hinted towards a couple of things, which actually is the next topic or the next subject that I wanted to bring up. And from the overall perspective, I think it's an academic discussion. It's a practical explanation of the industry experts who are sitting here, and we are here to share our ideas and share the points here. When we operate in the field, when we operate, so I would put it like this, that there are certain challenges. So we were discussing the challenges, and these are the challenges which are common to the overall industry, and surprisingly, most of them are linked across the globe in all the public sectors and in the private sector organizations working. What are the barriers that we see or we come across? Few have been hinted during the discussion, but I would like to explicitly focus on them, so that these problem areas are identified, and subsequently we are able to point them out, and at some forum when we reach to that level of influence, they can be impacted accordingly. So when we are executing the projects, those of you mentioned a few, the financial management perspective, how do we look at it, and what's the impact that it brings on the challenges that we face? And I would say that we stay focused on Pakistan, we stay focused on the local construction industry.
So there are two sectors we are working here. One is the government sector, other is private sector. Government sector, actually they have to be the leader of making some benchmarks which are to be followed in the society. In Pakistan, unfortunately, the government is not the leader. They are just giving lame policies or whatever you can say. I mean, government is out of it. Everything is dependent on individuals in the private sector. In the private sector,
बहुत शुक्रिया सर, आपने individuals और private sector का नाम.
In the private sector, the main focus of an individual is that they want to make money. They want to make their project a success, definitely in terms of finance. So whenever they decide to make something, they have the first idea that they want to make a very good structure. Like I said before, they want to make the best, but they want to spend the less. And this is so much dependent on the design then. Again, I'm focusing. The designers, the consultant, the design office is the pivot. It has to play the pivotal role. Everyone like MEP, like every HVAC, like civil engineers, everyone is to be involved in the total design of the project to make it a success. More, I mean, all in all aspects, in terms of structure design, in terms of cost efficiency, in terms of time efficiency. Everything is dependent on the consultant office. And the constructor should be those which might not be the lowest one, but they are be the most capable one. And the capable one, maybe they are, I mean, somehow their rates might be high, but you have to select someone who is making a Badshahi Masjid, which is sustaining after 4 centuries or 5 centuries. I mean, Basha, they don't bother about the funds.
But there is a point here that should we be designing structures and should we be erecting structures at this point of time which should last for 400 to 500 years?
Why not?
Is that a need actually?
Why not?
Or
Why
can
not?
it be something which
So-
is modular and it's just a food for thought, which can be modular, which is, so if we look at, and this thing has started coming in, that why do we need to have something that with such a prolonged life, while maintaining that thing at that time would be more costlier, and this actually happening. So I'm not talking about the heritage. I'm talking about a normal urban dwelling. So why not do it on those lines, and that is a recyclable material, and that thing is recycled and reused again.
This idea can be okay if you are making a building which is not utilized by individual residents. I mean, think of those people who have bought a very costly apartment on the 7th floor or sort, and that building is being designed for just 50 years, and after 50 years it is not livable. So the person who has bought that flat in that 7th floor, he is in effects. I mean,
So it's from the academic perspective. The cost won't be that high. So we're not going for the 7th floor. We have abundance of land. And if we have the modular structures coming in, and their life is financed over a certain period of time, because like we do the financial closure on the projects also, so we look at the ROI and we look at that investment. So can't this be a practical low income housing solution? Which can subsequently, for example, okay, we say that the house is grown old, you replace it with a new one, you replace the structure, you replace the modules, and the technology would have advanced over the 5 to 10, 15 years of that duration of the structure, and would have gone more cost effective and more sustainable.
But the design of that particular even low cost house should not be like it start showing cracks and sort of things after just 10 years, again, I'm focusing hard again on the design. I mean, it will start from where? Designers, consultants, they are the learned people, but from where they are coming? They are coming from our universities. And if our universities are not capable of producing such professionals, then we have to think of like hiring some experts from abroad till the time we become some expert, and then we transfer the technology, and subsequently the techniques we are adopting to make a good sustainable solutions for the low cost houses and even modular houses, even for the multi-story buildings, can be beneficial for our society.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your input. I will just put in a sentence here that while prepping for this, I was just going through, and somebody said a very interesting thing. They said that we don't need to invent technology. The technology is already out there. We just need to adopt it, maybe tweak it according to our requirements. Because right now, when we are looking at IoT, we are looking at machine learning, we are looking at artificial intelligence. So those in the areas where they have been adopted, they've reached to that level of advancement that adopting, I think, is the solution which is left with countries like ours, and maybe tailoring it to our requirements. Let's hope and wish that we're able to even do that. So that again would be an achievement from our perspective. So, but thank you very much for your insights, sir.
One last thing. Again, pointing out my Tayat Izhar Ahmed Saab. He wrote a book of his own career, Outshining Career of a Civil Engineer. And in that book, he mentioned a visit which he called of his friends and old friends, different Sikh and Hindu, who actually graduated with him before the partition. And he took them with to manufacturing unit, precast manufacturing unit, and they were amazed to see that. You know, all of us are actually making our degrees by studying the books by Khanna and this and that. But they were surprised to see that manufacturing facility, and they said that there is not a single manufacturing unit in the whole India which is comparable of this. Why I'm saying this? We don't have to follow all the norms. We don't have to follow all the
Yes.
techniques. Just like 3D printing. I mean, it will be a stupidity for the time being, at least I say, that we go for the 3D printing for a house. Because there in abroad, I mean, the labor cost is so much that they can think of it. But here in Pakistan, in our local environment, the labor is, they are just like the person, someone like, I think the chief guest, he said, we are jugadiye. So we actually make jugad of everything. And we are so much like, you know, cunning. No, I mean, cunning is not a good word. Clever. No, clever is not a good word. What word I should say?
Smart.
Smart. Yeah, smart.
Articulate.
We are so much smart that we learn things from its taste, from its pointing. So there is not the need of adopting everything. The only thing which is beneficial for us, we should take it. Just like it's a hadith, Nabi Muhammad ﷺ said, "Al-hikmatu dalatul mu'min huwa ahaqqu biha haythu wajadaha." Hikmah, the insight, it is something which is missing for a moment, and wherever he finds it, he should take it. So nothing to be copied, nothing to be taken. Everything is there, but we'll adapt or adopt on those things which are actually beneficial for our environment.
Thank you very much, sir. हम engineering से पहले आरी लगा लेंगे और वो आरी resident engineer नहीं होगा या resident engineer भी हो सकती है।
अच्छा, इसमें बिलाल साहब
जी।
मैं ऐड करूंगा कि हमें जो है ना 3D प्रिंटिंग लो हाइट या लो कास्ट हाउसेज के लिए इकोनॉमिकल पड़ेगी, और दूसरा प्री फैब्रिकेटेड बिल्डिंग आज नियर ट्रेंड आ गया और अच्छी इंसुलेटेड भी हैं, आपकी एनर्जी एफिशिएंट भी हैं, आपको HVAC कास्ट भी काम पड़ती है, तो उस पे जाना चाहिए।
Thank you very much, sir. And as you have the mic, so I'll take this opportunity to ask you a question. Also, you come from DASCON, and a lot of focus goes on training, right? And when we are looking at the technological advances, so it's all about the upskilling of not only the engineers but the technical manpower as well. You have experienced this, so if you can share with us the impact that the impact which it brings when the management of an organization is aware of the benefits that it can get from training its technical resources. So if you can just share that, what makes it stand out actually, and what impacts come on the organization?
अच्छा, इसमें सर मैं ऐड करूंगा कि अगर आप अपने ह्यूमन रिसोर्स पे खर्च करते हैं ना, तो जो कास्ट ऑफ पुअर क्वालिटी आप पे करते हैं ना, वो उससे कहीं ज्यादा होती है, ठीक है ना?
Right.
अगर आप किसी भी प्रोजेक्ट का लाइफ साइकिल देखें तो उसमें 2 से 3%, समटाइम 4% तक भी आप पे कर रहे होते हैं रीवर्क के अगेंस्ट, वर्क वन के अगेंस्ट। अगर आपने ह्यूमन रिसोर्स को वेल ट्रेंड कर दिया है, स्किल्ड कर दिया है, तो उससे इस कास्ट से आप बच सकते हैं और वो आपके प्रॉफिट में कन्वर्ट होते हैं, सेव कर सकते हैं उस कास्ट को 2 से 3%।
Great, thank you. And as they say is that what if you train a person and he leaves? And the point is that what if you don't train him and he stays? So, bilkul sahi. So, okay, so and this is a question actually I'll ask across the panel, and we'll start from you, because we are coming across various technologies. We are studying, we are reading and everything, experiencing them as well. So, and from Pakistan's perspective, and I'll look at it from the local industry perspective, that all the technologies that we have been discussing, what do you think is going to be the most impactful in the near future? That is the next 5 to 10 years, which is going to be the most impactful, and why?
Yes, that creates that would create impact in definitely, and we should stay positive that that would do. One thing that I have been listening since morning, that AI and technology and this BIM and all such. As far as the geotechnical engineering is concerned, I want to tell you in what is happening in my especially specific field. It's very good that we should shift towards advancements, like we should learn new software, we should learn new things. But unfortunately, somehow that I have felt now that people, they learn, they know how to run a software, they know how to run the Plexus 3D, they know how to run the Geoslope, or they know how to run the sophisticated software. But unfortunately, somehow they don't know the what is happening at the background of that software. That if you are going to design your model as a problem into the software, you must understand that how it is going to respond. That you must understand what is the basic thing, what were the concept that we used to, we must know at the back of that problem. So if any student or if anyone who doesn't know the background of that, and he just come up with the results, that you cannot rely simply on. So I feel that it's no matter the young lot that is coming towards us, and they are very good at software, but yet when they come up with the idea, when they come up with the solution, we always, or especially I, or but I have seen my seniors too, that we always see that critically too, that whether it comes on certain statistics, it is fulfilling that or not. So if that is fulfilling, okay, go ahead, very good, zabardast, go with the design. But if that is not, somehow it's you don't feel that it is not compatible, yes, there is certain issue in the understanding, or there is certain issue in plugging in the parameters, or plugging in the stiffness values, or plugging in the modulus of elasticity values, they may create some issue at the end. So that a good designer, or a good person, a good engineer, he will understand that this may cause some issue afterwards, and he should or she should stop that right at that point, and then
Understood.
do that, but like rectify that, and then go ahead with the design. So like use of technology, it's very good, it's really good, but one must understand the crux behind that too.
Okay, thank you very much. Ji.
Uh, let's divide into planning, costing, and execution. Huh?
That
So,
would make it easier for us to understand.
AI and innovation, is helping in planning and costing. Different softwares, different tools, they are being used in the market and very helpful, in terms of planning. That is directly saving the cost also. But in terms of execution, in terms of execution, I think we cannot afford AI and innovation to replace manpower in the Pakistan, because we are already a population of 240 million, so we cannot. The people are already getting. People are already getting jobless, so I think we cannot afford AI and innovation to replace our labor and other manpower in to get jobless.
Thank you. So I'll park this point because we are moving towards the end of our discussion. So we'll park it for a discussion. But thank you very much for sharing your sentiment. And one thing is to adopt those tools, because what Sadaf was also mentioning is when we look at AI, so what we perceive AI to be is a replacement of the people, but AI is a tool. It's not a replacement. AI is a tool, as is a tool which we use in various softwares. It would still need experts. It would still need people to handle them, and that is where the expertise would come in, because the software would be IoT would be there, machine learning would be there. There would be a certain, so it would be there to assist, but we were not going towards that, going into the debate of intelligent systems right now. Subsequently, yes, maybe, but that's a different debate that goes. But thank you very much for pointing this thing out. You have a point?
Yeah, well, you have rightly said. Actually, whenever we are shifting, because this AI and all such things, they are, I believe that no matter we are heading towards that era, that we should follow these things. But if I see in Pakistan that we are literally lagging behind. I had been into
Yes.
China like 3 months back, and then last week I was in Nepal. And I was surprised to see that where they are and where we are, there is a lot of difference, or there is a lot of you can say the technology gap between us and them, that is very difficult to be filled in. So at first we have to make our procedures robust. We have to make ourselves smart enough, and then we should shift ourselves towards such technologies. So for myself, I think that in understanding the problem, in understanding the issues, that is the first thing. And blindly heading towards the robotics or AI, that won't suffice. I think that our future. So initially we need to look at ourselves first, being a nation where we are heading to. This is very important for the time being.
Thank you very much, sir.
One point I want to actually refer. Yes, Madam Safad has rightly said that we are lagging behind, far behind from the other nations in the world. But we have to start from some point. The starting point is very important. And our universities and then our private sector has to play the pivotal role for this. We need to focus hard on the research and development. It is the legacy that we have to leave for our next generation, that they have to actually not to copy things, but to find out what actually they mean, what is their utilization, how it has to be used properly in our environment. So the research and development, we are actually nowhere in this field. So in our universities and especially in our private sector, everyone says this, yes, University of Central Punjab is having a collaboration with the industries for the internship and this and that. 2 months internship means nothing. We need to have a 2-year internship, a 1-year internship, just like the house job for an engineer. And for in that particular time, their focus has to be on the research and the development. What are the results of the experiments they are doing, and what are their applications in the practical field? Precast industry, just like precast industry or the sustainable and the different materials which we can use to cut the price of the building materials and the sustainability of the structures. All these are not the words which are written in the book. These are to be practiced in the R&D labs, and the results has to be approved by the consultants, and the consultants of the bodies, they are to get it approved from the government, so that they may be a standard of construction for the upcoming days.
Thank you, sir. Ji, Bashir sir.
मेरे ख्याल में सर एआई से जो है ना ह्यूमन रिसोर्स को रिप्लेस करने नहीं जा रही, इससे अच्छे डेटा एनालिसिस से आप डिसीजन मेकिंग अच्छी कर
Yes.
सकेंगे और इसी तरह आपको प्लानिंग मॉनिटरिंग में अच्छे इंडिकेशन मिल जाएगी और टाइमली मिल जाएगी.
Bilkul Sayyid ji. Thank you very much, sir. So with this, we come to the end of our discussion. So I'll open the house for Q. Yes, for us. Yeah. So I'm opening the house for the Q&A, and we can have the questions from the audience, please. Yes, for us. Yeah, you are quite loud enough.
In terms of the Chinese sector, and I think Chinese is directly with the government actually. So actually, we are already subcontractors of some Chinese, in some projects. So what we are facing now, so government is, giving them some, facilities like duty-free imports from China also. For example, we are, contractors of China in some dam projects, for example. So we are not allowed to import the machinery from China. So, but Chinese are allowed to import the machinery from China and it's duty free. So I think it's a big factor for us to compete with Chinese, The duty is almost, if you calculate and, add these prices in your bid. So I think you cannot compete with Chinese in terms of this one. And in terms of technology, I think we also nowhere nearby Chinese in terms of technology. So, but in terms of, I think, manpower skills, I think we can easily compete with Chinese and we are competing, alhamdulillah. So it's not just say that we are very lacking and behind Chinese. Alhamdulillah, we are competing and winning bids, in terms of when we bid against Chinese. So alhamdulillah, we are winning projects also. In terms of, you talked about the imports, some, manpower and export manpower and others, like other products from Pakistan. Import.
Of projects here in Pakistan that can use our workforce and our contractors to work for them and bring capital for Pakistan.
Actually, we are doing actually. In terms of prefabrication structures and pressure vessels, we are alhamdulillah exporting, our products to some, Iran and Afghanistan and some other countries also. In terms of this, we are doing exporting alhamdulillah. So the next question.
They're executing projects there. They're executing projects like Chinese organizations looking for Pakistani organizations, Pakistani same Chinese organizations working from Saudi clients. Dynamics of that project, assessment of the on those projects. Client expectation. This is also a fact. Can't have an on project. Not talking about China or Bharsha or Mohammed, no, not that level. But when we are looking at level infrastructure, clarity on and the factor.
Just, I was talking to my friend in Saudi, even the local Saudis are now very much depressed and because of Chinese, even the Saudis cannot, compete with Chinese now. So all the projects are winning by the Chinese in Saudi now. So I think it's similar condition in Saudi and Pakistan now. Chinese now is everywhere.
Example which in other Gulf countries, the employers, they are the ones who actually make such policies where local contractors and subcontractors are encouraged to become part of even the bigger projects which they don't have capability to execute, so that they keep on learning and they develop their in-house capabilities. In Pakistan, I'm happy to report that we have revived that condition, but again, it's limited to government projects only. When it comes to private sector, it's a different ball game.
Yeah, where then I think that
Or are we still at road? Are we still on the? Are we back?
Okay. I will reply your first question. Yes, actually, Chinese are very much technologically advanced country, because if you go to the China, you see high-rise building. Like, I don't think so that any building is less than 30 stories over there. It's a very common, like, when I was in China, I was continuously looking like this all the time. Like, I cannot see the people like that. Only the when I'm talking about the people, I can see directly at the horizontal as 0 degree. Otherwise, I was looking like this because of the advancements over there. I have worked on Chinese code, and especially on the geotechnical engineering related. They are so you can say meticulously prepared. They are so elaborative that if you are encountered with the silty clay with this much properties, they will give you exactly how to deal with that. If you have any problematic soil, they will exact give you solution that on this page of this code you have to go for this. So their codes are so meticulously prepared, and that I am surprised to see that that is prepared for the Chinese only. They don't follow any ASTM, they don't follow any British standard, and don't follow even Eurocode. However, when I compared their codal results with my British standards or American standard code, somehow the results were almost same. When I compared that, because if I ended up with the 2 meter width foundation design, their code is almost giving me 2.1 or 1.99 width of the foundation. So as far as the codes are concerned, more or less they are same. Second thing is that Chinese are now coming in the EPC contract. They are bringing the investment with them. So they want a local contractor or the local consultant to work with them, and then they can flourish over here. It's a fact that Chinese are now all over the world. They are giving you their services in such a low price, in such a cheaper price, that you are somehow bent towards to buy their services in any case. So automatically your reliance on European consultants or European contractors, that is almost diminishing, and now you are more towards Chinese, because Pakistan is now directly has border with the China. So their trade or and another thing is that is important, that China, Pakistan is one of their most strong ally in this region too, because China is now constructing the Belt and Road Initiative that they have done in the recent year, and the CPEC or the others, you can say advancements that you are looking in Pakistan, that is directly because of China, and especially the Gwadar port that is being constructed by the China. So China is really investing in Pakistan because Pakistan is one of their very important BRI partner country.
I have a question.
just to add upon a little, give a possibility of time, so we would.
Right.
Yeah, but if you just one fact. Concrete now. How much time did China take to? Any idea? Just 6 point certain number. That is volume. Right now we see actually not infrastructure has improved. Used to be that one of the best structures in the world is now on D-. This in itself is of the investment also that goes into the public. So the private sector can invest, private sector can bring, but there are limitations. Public sector has to come. Public government has to invest in the quality of life of the individual, and that focus comes. Why is this parity there? Because when we look at the US public sector nation and Chinese get the answer to this focus of the kind, it is the quality of life. That is, I think, aligns on that. We take one last question, and we can.
Or they make any arrangements for the Pakistani manufacturers in terms of construction materials, especially admixtures and accelerators. The requirement of those chemicals is in a huge amount, because the estimated quantity is more than 10 million cubic meter for this Bhasha Dam, for both conventional and RCC concretes. So there was a clause in the project specification of the Mir Bhasha Dam that still exists, which states that use of Pakistani materials and methods only. That actually give me a boost and a backup to engage more and more Pakistani manufacturers. So luckily, or with my force, you can say, a power of a consultant, we had that there. I am successfully covered this. But when the rate comparison was there, so the issue raised by sir, I don't know his name, and my gentleman sitting behind me, that 1 liter of admixture giving by a Pakistani manufacturer is around 120 to 130 rupees per liter, and the Chinese was bringing with the same quality, with the same solid content, same specific gravity, and giving a best result in concrete designing while we were also supervising that. They were costing half of that. So they always raise a question that why we use Pakistani products. So the reason behind would be probably the duty-free materials they are bringing, the support the government is giving them, or maybe so many others. The second thing during the discussions, this was one of my experience. I will ask a question from Hafiz Saab. Hafiz Saab, you raised a matter. I think this is academia and industry collaboration talk. We see so many issues while we are facing on sites from the contractor side, the constructor sides. So it is, I think, a little unfair to say that in the project, everything belongs to the designer or the consultants. Let me add you, I have so many studies, so many cases in which I can raise a question that when I write or give letter or write on a check request that contractor bring the sand from Bolari, one of the good source of fine aggregate, or Sawabi, Arnaspur. So why don't contractor not bother to bring it? Number two, our constructors, the contractors, have they one or two, which I know in Pakistan, they have the R&D setup, but what are their outcomes? Have they gone through any of the construction material evaluation information rolled over the government departments or consultants? Have they recommended anything? Is there anything published in this regard by in the last 20 years? Actually, unfortunately, what I know is it is very limited. So my main question is: this is probably a fault of all of us. So we should together make a team, and we should for every project that okay, we will earn the money. Okay, we will go with the main objective is that we will have a good project. So for that, we will together at least constitute a committee or a members or a team which will actually go good for the project. So my opinion is here that we should not raise a question only on the consultant or the designer for that particular matter. Thank you.
Quick reply is that it is very of like a consultant note, I think. Very much of a consultant note, I think. Yes, we have to move forward collectively. This is I think, the punchline. That R&D has to be there. R&D will be done by all of us, especially in the universities and the forums comprising of both the consultants, the designers, and the constructors. And these forums can bring good results. Last thing, transfer of technology is must. I mean, Chinese, everywhere they are Chinese. You are having these bridge girders in there. The quality of concrete, yes, DESCON might say like we can reproduce them, but the quality of concrete they have produced here, I think for the time being it's matchless. So we need to transfer the technology, and this is so very important that once we transfer the technology, then inshallah we'll be able to give the same results, like better results than the Chinese, inshallah.
Right. Thank you very much, panelists. बहुत शुक्रिया जी आप लोग तशरीफ लाए, and thank you very much for giving us the opportunity, and thank you very much for bearing us out for this time frame, and over to Faraz. Thank you very much, sir.
Participation हम एक कर देंगे. नहीं मैं तो आई थॉट कि ये टॉपिक जो था ये काफ़ी बड़ा वास्ट टॉपिक था और इस पे हम बड़ा कुछ बात कर सकते थे, मगर ऑब्वियसली ये 2 दिन की कॉन्फ्रेंस है, नेक्स्ट टाइम हम 3 दिनों की रखेंगे तो इसमें हाँ जी मैच हम प्रॉपर करवाएंगे. सिर्फ अभी कंसल्टेंट्स को हमने फ्लेवर दी है, उसके लिए फ्लेवर के लिए कंसल्टेंट बुलाया. नेक्स्ट टाइम नेस्पाक को प्रॉपर फ्लेवर में जी. ये हमारे बच्चे हैं जी यूसीपी के, प्लीज दे दो बेटा सरों को. हम चाहते हैं, बच्चों से इसलिए दिलवा रहे हैं कि नेक्स्ट जनरेशन जो है ना, वो फ्यूचर जनरेशन हमारी वो शेक हैंड्स करे इंडस्ट्री लीडर्स के साथ. It is a little heavier because you'll carry feelings with this. जी हाँ जी, इसमें मटेरियल वाले जो भाई हैं ना, you can also check ये क्या चीज है. आइए बगीरी साहब, सर आइएगा प्लीज. अस्सलाम वालेकुम. फराज सर, आई एम गुड सर, आप कैसे हैं सर? लूट ऐसे तो नहीं होते तो आपने नहीं क्या पे आगे. अच्छा ये सॉरी अभी जो हमारी है बिल्डिंग कोड ऑफ पाकिस्तान पे, बिल्डिंग कोड ऑफ पाकिस्तान के सारे जो है ना मेंबर्स दे आर हियर विद अस। सो हम थोड़ा सा शेड्यूल चेंज करें, स्टार्ट हो रही है, बिल्कुल स्टार्ट हो रही है। आइए सर, 5 मिनट की ब्रेक ले लें या नहीं लेनी? सेटअप को नहीं, सेटअप हमारा तैयार है, असल में प्रेजेंटेशन जो है ना उन्होंने नंबर लिया कोई और, थोड़ी चेंजिंग की है, दोबारा शेयर करेंगे।
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. I understand that a lot of people are also watching this online. It's a good opportunity to have a platform where we can discuss the latest trends in Pakistan, and one of the core latest trends is that we updated a 25-year-old code in 2022. So we thought that it would be a good topic to include for this meetup. I will introduce to you the panel after I've started, or let's introduce. Let me introduce to you the panel first, and then I'll open the forum. Sir, अगर आप kindly अपने आप को खुद ही introduce करा दीजिए for the audience, and then after that I'll open the talk.
That's a good strategy, actually. Huh? I'm Khaliqur Rashid Kiani. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. I'm Khaliqur Rashid Kiani. Served basically in Pakistan Army. I'm a PhD from University of Illinois. I also attended 2 semesters at University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. And after doing that PhD, I've been working as a teacher, as a designer, as a consultant now. And why I'm here today, perhaps it was because of the building code, which we initiated actually. Pakistan Building Code in true sense was initiated after 2005 earthquake. And in 2007, we came up with seismic provisions of Pakistan Building Code, primarily based on UBC 97. Why we used UBC 97 was, although it's not introduction, I'm going somewhere else, right? So we'll talk about it later, perhaps. So that's it.
Mohammad Masood Rafi. I'm a professor and chairman in the Department of Earthquake Engineering at NED University, Karachi.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. I am Naeem Durrani. I'm a consulting engineer here, and I am licensed to practice here as well as in Canada. And we do all sorts of structural design and supervision and contract management.
Well, I'm Rizwan Mirza. I'm a civil and structural consulting engineer. I have 45 years of experience. Thank you.
Dr. Mohammad Irfan from Beredo Engineers. Basically, I'm a geotechnical engineer, nowhere as close to, nowhere as experienced as any of the learned people around me. So, so probably it'll be more of an opportunity for me to learn from these than to share anything. Thank you.
Okay, I think a lot of people have been very humble. Brigadier Saab has been is a PhD from University of Illinois, and it's a world-recognized university. Is a diverse experience. Rafi Saab, I think we met in the US when I was in the US, right? So he is very active on the international stage in different research driven activities. तो सर वो अगली दफा जो आए तो उसमें मुझे इंक्लूड कर लीजिएगा. Durrani Saab is a veteran of structural engineering industry. He has diverse experience. जब हम अकेले होते हैं तो मैं दुरानी साहब और रिजवान साहब हम अक्सर किसी न किसी जगह कोशिश करते हैं कि मिल बैठें और कोई शेर व शायरी कर लें इकट्ठे आपस में बैठ के. So he's one of the two people I consult whenever I have a problem. Rizwan Mirza Saab and I have been associated since long. And Rizwan Saab is one of the two people besides Durrani Saab जिनको मैं अक्सर तंग करता रहता हूँ and I get bailouts frequently. Irfan is here just because he's a geotechnical engineer. And that too from University of Tokyo. Is one of the people I really respect as a profession. हमारी जो दोस्ती है वो basically इसी तरह शुरू हुई कि I've tried a lot of different geotechnical engineers, but he was the one who was willing to innovate, was willing to resort to the latest technique. So this is my introduction of the panel. Sir,
I just forgot to mention that I am a BSc Civil Engineering qualified, and you will be. I am too. Achha. But I just wanted to share with you that I am the least qualified person in my firm.
Sir, we understand that experience has its own merit and besides qualification. So we recognize and respect you as a professional. So with that, I think allow me to open the floor, the forum. If you can up that presentation. जब बंदे को काम कुछ ना हो या कम हो या पैकेजेस वाले सैटरडे संडे को सो रहे हो, so you have time to think about things, right? Reflect upon what you did. And I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. One of those mistakes has been as part of it's my mistake. I'm sorry, not the committee's mistake. One of the things that I've done in life is to contribute towards Building Code of Pakistan 2021. And so I was, Dr. Saab, and I'm sorry, ये screen आपके पीछे, but I've circulated it in the BCP group also, and I've shared this information with the two esteemed practitioners we have here. We made a lot of progress when we were formulating the Building Code of Pakistan 2022. You cannot imagine the constraints. You know, it's a World Bank funded project. it was, I think the funding was solicited by Dr. Lodi and other people. We had only a limited amount of time. We had weeks. Now imagine you have to come up with a building code in weeks, not in years. And so we would gather, we would huddle in Islamabad weekly or bi-weekly basis, and we would try to quickly sift through things and come up with solutions that are applicable to the domestic diaspora, the domestic scene. And we would also like to, हमारे पास जिस तरह, for example, I remember Brigadier Shahid and Colonel Wasim, you delegated them कि जी आप जाके wind के ऊपर जो है काम करें. अब हम जब पीछे गए wind के ऊपर, तो आप हैरान होंगे कि पाकिस्तान does not, we couldn't find, at least we couldn't find the data for the last 40 to 50 to 80 years by any agency or government or private to get that wo jo 5% probability of return for the fastest mile up to 3-second gust. We couldn't get that. And so the consensus was, should we now abandon this effort? And then there was a discussion, and it was all of us understood कि जी आगे move forward करने के लिए you have to make compromise. So there were a lot of those things. So wind के बारे में मैंने आपको बताया. The other thing was seismic. Fawad Najm, all credit due to him, and Dr. Ali of earthquake. जी, they were spearheading जो आपका seismic hazard parameters हैं, and they did a terrific job. उन्होंने University of Peshawar also collaborated. Wasim, University of Peshawar also collaborated. So, लेकिन at the end, when we had done everything, I started to compare कि अब Amritsar is just across the border, right? So Indians also recently, उन्होंने भी अपना building code जो upgrade किया. आप उनकी website पे जाएं, आप उनका code नहीं निकाल सकते. मैंने खैर through दुबई VPN लगा लोगों के किसी तरीके से उनका code download किया. And then I compared the seismic parameters, the response spectrum of Amritsar with Lahore. On the left side, you see this map of India. On the right side, ये तो खैर पुराना map है. आगे next. Next. Okay, so this is a very brief, relevant section for the Indian code. आगे चले. Next. 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 This is Amritsar and Lahore as per Building Code of Pakistan 2022. Right? And अगर आप सर हजरात थोड़ा सा पीछे देख लें, because I'm gonna start the conversation from this point on. This is the response spectrum. They are going up to 2.5 G, and we are somewhere at 0.5 G, right? So the question was, I mean, are we doing? I checked this, by the way. I checked my calculation. I couldn't believe that, because so so the question was, are they doing something wrong, or did we do something wrong? So I will start my discussion with Brigadier Saab. Sir, what do you think are the avenues for further development, and how we improved upon the previous code?
मैं पहले आपको बता रहा था, we started this work in 2005 after 2000 earthquake, and I must also share with you the soul of the project, soul of this building code is Dr. Sarosh Lodi, who is chairman, vice chancellor, NED University. I think we should all be thankful to him that we are where we are today. In 2007, once we were doing all this, it was Ministry of Communication and Works who awarded a contract to NESPAC perhaps, which was subcontracted to another consultant. And they came up with a document which consisted of parts of Turkish code and Indian code. And that's when Pakistan Engineering Council came into the scene, and they made a committee where it was headed by Dr. Lodi. Okay, so it was headed by Dr. Lodi, and we all contributed. We sat here in the NESPAC office for quite a long time, and then we came up with this idea that we should follow UBC 97 and domesticate it as much as we can, which we couldn't, to be honest with you. And then it was decided that it should be upgraded, it should be modified every 3 years. And as it happens in this country, nothing happened till 2021, where again it was a grant, I think, which was managed by Dr. Lodi. And that grant also was about to expire when everything started moving, and that's how we started doing the job. And I think in that small period of time we did a lot of work and came up with a document. Instead of UBC, we followed then IBC 2021, I think. 21. We started with 2020, and then during the period 2021 also came, and we established that. To answer your question, we can do a lot, and we should do a lot if we are interested in making safer structures, making economical structures, making sustainable structures, provided there is a will at all levels, at the government level, at the policy level. But I think, to my mind, the best contribution we can get is from academic institutions like University of Central Punjab, where we are sitting here today. And same way, Dr. Rafi would bear me out that I've always been advocating that the academic institutions should be involved vigorously in this aspect. So there is a room for improvement, there is a need for improvement, and there is always, you see, new things coming which we must incorporate in our building code.
So, Dr. Rafi, what do you think? I'll repeat the same question. What do you think we improved upon, and what do you think we need to improve in the current building code of Pakistan? And if you allow me, so आपका जो लोकल कोड है गवर्नमेंट में, जिस तरह से हमारा CNW डिपार्टमेंट है, वो ये फॉलो ही नहीं करता. So this is something which is unique to Pakistan, because in America, if ASC 716 comes out, if ASC 722 comes out, if IBC comes out, the public as well as the private sector, all of them adopt it. यहाँ पे CNW says हमने नहीं, we have to follow the blue book and red book, and I don't know what Sindh के अंदर क्या है. So if I can have a brief comment on that one also.
Dr. Fawad, first of all, thank you very much for this invitation and letting me this opportunity to obviously talk to you and to the audience about the work that we did. And I think I will be, everybody, especially I'll be much more comfortable if we switch to our own language rather than.
Feel free, sir.
मेरा ख्याल ये है कि आप दो सवाल आपने मुझसे किए. पहला ये कि हमने क्या इम्प्रूवमेंट इस कोड में की. तो पहले मैं इस बात का सवाल का जवाब दूं, और जैसे कि कियानी साहब ने भी कहा, ही वाज वेरी राइट कि 2007 में कोई अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं थी ऐसा कोई काम करने की जिसको हम लोकलाइज्ड सिनेरियो, लोकलाइज्ड कॉन्टेक्स्ट या लोकलाइज्ड पर्सपेक्टिव में उसमें इंक्लूड कर सकें। तो इसलिए जो कुछ यूबीसी 97 में था वो पार्ट बन गया था साइज्मिक प्रोविजन पाकिस्तान का। लेकिन अगर हम उसको कंपेयर करें अब जो हमने 2021 में एक्टिविटी की है, तो मेरा ख्याल है ये बड़ी मुझे खुशी है, और सब लोगों ने भी इस बात को शायद जब भी रियलाइज किया था और बाद में महसूस भी हम कर सकते हैं कि हमने कोशिश की कि हम उसमें जो इंडिजनाइज्ड एलिमेंट्स हैं उनको इंक्लूड करने की कोशिश करें। जिसकी एक मिसाल अभी डॉक्टर फवाद ने दी कि जो विंड के डाटे की हमने कोशिश की, और जो कुछ भी मिल सका, ये कोई एग्जैक्ट नहीं होगा, ये कोई फाइनल नहीं होगा, लेकिन जो कुछ मिल सका लोकल कॉन्टेक्स्ट में वो हमने इंक्लूड किया, रादर देन कि हम जो इंफॉर्मेशन अमेरिका में अवेलेबल है उसको इंक्लूड कर दें। और यही केस बहुत हद तक हमारा रहा साइज्मिक जो हैजर्ड एनालिसिस था उसके हवाले से। और हमने फिर जैसे आईबीसी को फॉलो करने का जो फैसला किया, तो उसमें फिर हमने जो पीजीए वाली अप्रोच थी उसको चेंज किया, और हम जो शॉर्ट पीरियड लॉन्ग पीरियड एक्सेलरेशन थे उसके ऊपर गए। लेकिन उसके लिए भी ये एक दफ़ा एनालिसिस नहीं हुआ, मेरा ख्याल है 3 से 4 दफ़ा हमने इस एनालिसिस को किया। वी डिबेटेड एंड वी चेंज्ड एंड वी मॉडिफाइड, वी रिवाइज, और फिर उसके बाद हमने कहा कि हाँ ठीक है, ये एक ऐसा वो है जो भी इसके ऊपर लेवल ऑफ फोर्सेस होंगी दैट मे बी एक्सेप्टेबल, ये सब लोगों के लिए एक्सेप्टेबिलिटी इसके अंदर आ जाएगी मोस्ट प्रोबेबली। तो वो फिर हमने फाइनली उसको इंक्लूड किया। तो एक बड़ा चैलेंज जब भी हम कोड की बात करें, क्योंकि सबसे पहली बात यह है कि कोड राइटिंग क्या चीज़ है। कोड राइटिंग के लिए आपके पास अपनी लोकल इंफॉर्मेशन होना ज़रूरी है, और ये एक ऐसा एरिया है जिसमें हम बहुत हद तक पीछे रहते हैं। हमारे पास लोकल इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं होती, होती भी है तो वो आउटडेटेड हुई हुई होती है, अपडेटेड नहीं होती। तो हम इस वक्त भी 2021 नहीं 2025 में भी शायद कोड लिखने की पोजीशन में तो नहीं है, हम एडाप्टेशन ही कर सकते हैं। और इसमें भी हमने यही एक अप्रोच रखी कि जो इंफॉर्मेशन हमें लोकली अवेलेबल है वो हम उसको इंक्लूड करें, और हम वो डाटा या वो इंफॉर्मेशन, ज़ाहिर साइंस नहीं हम चेंज कर सके ना, साइंस हम चेंज करने की ज़रूरत है। एक मेथड है, एक फिलॉसफी है जिसके ऊपर हमारी इंडस्ट्री काम करती है। मोस्टली हम जो काम करते हैं वो नॉर्थ अमेरिकन कोड्स के ऊपर करते हैं। तो हमारी अप्रोच यही रही कि जो साइंस उन्होंने डेवलप की हुई है उसको ही हम बेस करें, लेकिन जो इंफॉर्मेशन, जो डाटा जो हमारे पास लोकल अवेलेबल है उसको हम रिप्लेस करें। तो जहाँ पर हमारे पास इंफॉर्मेशन मौजूद थी वो हमारी अपनी लोकल रिसर्च से भी अवेलेबल थी, और हमारे जो दूसरे इंफॉर्मेशन कलेक्शन के इदारे हैं वहाँ से भी जो इंफॉर्मेशन मिल सकती थी उन सब को हमने इस्तेमाल किया। और जितना टाइम हमारे पास था उसमें जितनी अपॉर्चुनिटी हम हासिल कर सकते थे, मेरा ख्याल है हमने उसको मैक्सिमाइज करके उसमें यूज़ किया। ये तो आप पहले जो सवाल इन्होंने पूछा था डॉक्टर फवाद ने, उसका जवाब है। दूसरे सवाल का जवाब मेरा ख्याल ये है कि हमारे यहाँ भी बहुत हद तक पाकिस्तान बिल्डिंग कोड को नहीं यूज किया जाता, लेकिन उसमें कोई मजबूरी नहीं है। कोई भी ऐसा कोड जो कि या हम जो सिंध बिल्डिंग कंट्रोल अथॉरिटी है, जहाँ तक मेरे इल्म में है, उनके पास ऑल्टरनेटिव कोड को एक्सेप्ट करने की प्रोविजन या ओपनिंग मौजूद है, क्योंकि वो हमेशा जब भी डिज़ाइनर का कोई डिज़ाइन आता है उसको एक थर्ड पार्टी से वेट कराते हैं, और ये एक उनका स्टैंडर्ड प्रोसीजर है। तो अगर थर्ड पार्टी की जो वेटिंग है वो डिज़ाइनर उसको सेटिस्फाई कर सके, तो सिंध बिल्डिंग कंट्रोल अथॉरिटी को इन मोस्ट केसेस उसमें कोई एतराज़ नहीं होता।
सर नईम साहब से मेरा सवाल ये होगा कि सर जैसे कि डॉक्टर रफ़ी ने कहा कि देयर इज़ अ प्रीडायलेक्शन टू यूज़ ओल्डर कोड्स एंड alternative codes. And one of the motivations behind that is because people have been used to using a certain code, they're familiar with it. There is naturally an inertia to shift to the later change. And in this context हम बहुत सारी हम एक फोरम पे भी हैं इकट्ठे, तो लोग UBC 97 यूज कर रहे होते हैं और साथ ACI 31819 यूज कर रहे होते हैं. सो इसके ऊपर आप कैसे कहेंगे और आपके ख्याल में कोड्स में क्या कमियां हैं और क्या इम्प्रूवमेंट हो सकती है? इसको करीब कर लेंगे तो वो फिर आवाज
give the practitioner's viewpoint about this code and how to go about it. One thing, yes, as has been mentioned, that we don't have much wind data. But wind data in certain circumstances is much more important than seismic data, because the seismic event is a very short-lived, normally, maybe 30 seconds or whatever. And since we are going high-rise, and there are apartment floors right on the top, and the wind load is carries on for about 3-4 hours and is likely to add to the discomfort of the occupants. So normally what we do is we do not go into the depth that the data is there or not, but we use a response spectra developed by ISO for comfort of occupants versus velocity parameters. So that is one thing I would raise to be discussed. Secondly, there are quite a few shortcomings in the practitioners on the practitioner side. As Dr. Saab mentioned, you should have a third-party review. I am a review consultant for CDA Islamabad. Now, CDA Islam, why is this code is getting mixed up? CDA Islamabad accepts Zone 2B for Islamabad. Now, can you match it? In this day and age, they say we accept 2B. And a lot of clients say, well, why go into SDCD when we can be, allowed this 2B, and you are making the structure unnecessarily heavy or whatever. So the thing is, if I were part of the building code implementation committee, I would request all structural engineers for a written examination every 1 or 2 years to renew their license. Otherwise, they are not allowed to stamp drawings. I mean, the degree is probably goes into the background once we have attained the high level of excellence. But you have to keep updating yourself. And to keep updating yourself, you should appear in an examination, written or oral or whatever other means. But you should be tested that you are at the same level as the international community wants you to be. And otherwise, it's a Herculean effort, this building code. Should have come in much earlier. But there are the and we appreciate the work of all the extremely well qualified people who put their heart and soul into it. And we congratulate them.
Thank you, sir. Rizwan साहब, सर आपसे मेरे वही 2 सवाल होंगे. एक तो सवाल वही है मेरा, और मैं उसका कॉन्टेक्स्ट थोड़ा सा आपको एक्सप्लेन करना चाहता हूँ कि किस कॉन्टेक्स्ट से मैं आपसे सवाल कर रहा हूँ. 1 country, 1 code, right? And in the US, in Europe, in UK, Germany, everywhere, this is applicable. तो इस context में uniformity of applicability, मसलन आप और मैं एक जगह CNW में ब्रिगेडियर साहब भी थे, we talked about applicability of building code of Pakistan. I actually I had a conversation with Secretary of Finance, Government of Punjab, who's the key stakeholder from the public side. And the dilemma is that ये जितनी भी positions हैं, they are held by people who don't understand the technicalities of it. तो एक तो यूनिफॉर्मिटी ऑफ एप्लीकेबिलिटी ऑफ कोड होनी चाहिए या नहीं, और दूसरा ये कि क्या आपके ख्याल में how have we improved upon UBC 97 and what are the deficiencies in the current code?
There are some questions that have been, but I'll go by your questions first. I agree that if we were to emulate the model of the US, as we are trying to, they have voluntarily eliminated a multiplicity of the codes, and they have agreed upon uniformity of the codes within their own country. But one question that has been asked by you has not been duly addressed by the participants is that the codes do not get automatically enforced. In the United States also, which is a federal system, and the several states are autonomous in their decision making, each state has to separately adopt the code. If there is IBC of the current issue at this time, or ASCE of a current issue at this time, unless it is adopted by a state, it is not applicable on that state. So engineers of that state are not bound to follow it. As has been pointed out, that departments do not respect the new code. They wouldn't unless you give it legislative backing. If there is a legislative backing, everybody would respect it. I fully agree to directly answer your question that unless we have one code, we would have complications in insurance, in hiring, in claims, and contracting, in so many things. There needs to be a uniformity. Well, this answers your question, I guess. And the second question.
What have we improved upon
Well,
97 and
well, I have a certain different. Somebody said that there should have been more academics within the code making body. Probably you said that. No, you said that. When I read, with all due, my father was a teacher. My wife is a teacher. I have been a teacher. I have a great respect for teachers. But I see that when I look at the list of those people who, were members of the committee, majority of them were teachers. I think it could have been a more balanced list. I'm not saying that it was incorrect. That would be a tall claim. It should have been a little more balanced sort of list with more people from the industry there. I feel that from my perspective, I've been a reviewer for this city for several decades now. There are only 3 reviewers who have been authorized by Lahore Development Authority to review any size of the project. I'm one of them. And I am out of job most of the time. I'm not a popular reviewer. But from what I know during that role, it's the code enforcement that is absent. I think if we had stuck even to the initial code and had understood the process very well and had been mindful of our duties as structural engineers, 2005 would not have happened. Probably it is poor enforcement, poor ethics that have led to disasters. But I agree, I have no doubt that you have greatly advanced the code. It is a shift in the right direction. I also agree, as you also agree, that there is always room for improvement. It's not an easy task. The earthquakes do not respect geographical boundaries. The sources of the earthquake are at Nepal, at the foot of the Himalayas, on the west of our country. They're everywhere. So we do not have monitoring stations there. So US has, Berkeley has those monitoring stations. So we have to go to Berkeley to get that data. As has been said quite rightly, our hands are tied, we have limitations. But I think training is required, as Durrani Saab has pointed out. People need to be trained, and I fully agree. I have no doubt that if a test is, undertaken by the practitioners, most of them will fail.
Sir, Brigadier sir.
Yeah.
Just a clarification. Once we were doing this 2021 building code, we tried to incorporate the contractor registration of Pakistan. We tried to we contacted different developers to put in their efforts. Nobody came up and nobody contributed. So that was unfortunate. We wanted to involve.
Yeah. I'm sure.
And still, perhaps this is a little not really very correct information that majority were academics. There were academics, but they were not in majority.
सर मैं भी एकेडमिक हूँ राज Dr. Saab, code is not structures only, right? And it's geotech, it's a lot of different things. So from that perspective, can you please apprise everyone what have we advanced over the previous code in terms of geotechnical provisions, and what would you like to do in the next edition of the code, if we are included? Sir, matlab khayal rakhiyega.
So I think a lot has already been covered with the base being set already. But still, I would want to give some background since I was part of the process working with the rest of the team. We need to see that, like any developing country, we have been pretty reactionary in our approach. We need to just see that why the first time that practice was done in 2007 was most likely because of the 2005 earthquake. And that's the reason that it was basically the seismic provisions of the Building Code of Pakistan were there. So one thing is it's been reactionary, and still, as Brigadier Saab pointed out and others also acknowledged, that whatever team was working back then, they had a lot of limitations. And since, although it was, the idea was that it would be evolved over time, unfortunately it could not. And it again took probably more than 15, 20 years for that exercise to be undertaken once again. But not without a lot of limitations once again, as have been explained. So no need for me to repeat those. But having said this, just because the main focus back in 2007, and I'll just talk from the geotechnical viewpoint, since the main focus was limited to the seismic provision. So if we look at the Building Code of Pakistan of 2007, it's the geotechnical part pretty much covers the seismic provisions from UBC 97, but a lot of other things that probably needs to be covered from the geotechnical aspect, which are the fundamental questions that any society or any practicing engineers would need to answer, were missing there. So a lot with regards to the scope of investigations and even the ownership of that thing are some of the things which have been covered in this in the present code, and not without a lot of gaps for sure. as they've been discussed, it's not without a lot of gaps yet. So a lot is definitely still possible, and it's, in my opinion, as was the discussion in one of the previous panel discussions, and some panelists were talking about the Chinese practice. My personal experience of working on some projects where Chinese code was being implemented, and again, I restrict myself to the geotechnical part. My experience has been that they, just because of the sheer experience of repeating a lot of things, because they have done so mass construction in the last 20 years, and they've been brilliant in documenting all that. So they have been, what they've been able to do in their codes is they've been able to standardize things to very basic levels. And they've been able to pretty much mechanize the whole design process, at least from the geotechnical angle. And that's the reason, as one of the panelists in the previous panel discussion pointed out, you just specify the soil type and probably you'll get a single number of the bearing capacity, as was pointed out by one of the previous panelists. That's a part which can come a lot from the industry, but academia has to take a lot of interest in that. So that's not possible without the academia and industrial linkages in practice. So these are the angles which, in my opinion, are something that we can build upon going forward.
Okay, if I may add, because मैं इस तरफ लाने की कोशिश की सबको, I want everyone to realize here that UBC 97 is 28 years old as we sit, right? It's a 28-year-old code. A lot of things have happened since. And for example, just seismic portion की हम बात करते हैं. The international norm was 10% probability of exceedance, right? Right now in UBC, ASC 722 or 716, it is 2%. वो दूसरी बात है कि हमने उठा के 2% को 10% पे हम ले आए. वो एक, हम जज्बाती लोग थे और कुछ लोग प्रैक्टिकल थे. तो हमारी तो एंड में जो थी आपको पता ही है. बहरहाल, so but उसके अलावा the number of building systems for which you will get the value of R in ASC 716 and 722 is a lot more as compared to UBC 97. And similar is the case, आप wind का केस ले लीजिए. ASC 722 and 716 के अंदर जो हम wind के load लेते हैं structures के ऊपर, उसके different जो scenarios हैं वो UBC 97 में नहीं है. So the world has moved on, and I understand that there are a lot of limitations. Just a TL, I frequently get a question from Durrani Saab and Rizwan Saab कि TL की values calculate नहीं हुई. So I understand that because we didn't have at that time. मैं आपको एक बड़े मजेदार वाकया सुनाता हूँ. उस दौरान कि हमने कहा जी कि फ्लड रिलेटेड इंफॉर्मेशन हमें चाहिए, हम PEC मैंडेटेड लोग हैं, हमें फ्लड इंफॉर्मेशन दें. आगे से वही जवाब आया जो यहाँ पे आता है, ना करूँ से डाले तो नहीं आ जाएंगे. मैंने कहा जी this information is related to the national security of Pakistan. Sorry, we got this response from NDMA, and everyone was quiet after that. So there are a lot of challenges while you're working for certain cause in this country. Sir, नहीं आप कर कीजिए प्लीज.
इसमें एक चीज जो मैं जाहिर बार बार मुझे भी बग करती है, आप भी फवाद समझते हैं, बाकी सब लोग भी जो भी प्रैक्टिशनर हैं वो भी समझते हैं, साइज्मिक हैजर्ड तो एक कंपोनेंट है ना फोर्स का जो यूज होता है. उसमें और भी तो चीजें हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल, हम आर की वैल्यू पर तो कभी बात नहीं करते. हम कहते हैं जो अमेरिका में आर की वैल्यू दी हुई है IBC ने, हम वो यूज कर लें. तो क्या हमारे स्ट्रक्चर आर की वो वैल्यू प्रोवाइड कर सकते हैं? साइज्मिक हैजर्ड तो ठीक है, जो भी है उसमें गलत सही हमने किया, जो भी वैल्यू है, हमने कभी उस पर तो नहीं सोचा. जो फाई की वैल्यू ACI 318 यूज करता है, चाहे 2019 हो, 2024 हो या उससे पीछे हो, हमने कभी तो उस पर तो नहीं कभी भी डिबेट करने की कोशिश की कि क्या ये हम पर अप्लाई होते हैं. एंड सेम इज द केस विद एवरी अदर मटीरियल रिलेटेड प्रॉपर्टी और स्ट्रक्चरल परफॉर्मेंस रिलेटेड प्रॉपर्टी. जो डाटा जो अमेरिका में, नॉर्थ अमेरिका में यूज होता है, उसको हम ब्लाइंडली कर लेते हैं यूज, उस पर हम नहीं डिबेट करते. तो बात यह है कि साइज्मिक हैजर्ड असेसमेंट का जो भी रिजल्ट है या जो भी कोड में दिया गया, वो तो एक एक कंपोनेंट है, और परहैप्स मेरा ख्याल है कि बहुत बड़ा कंपोनेंट भी नहीं है जब हम फोर्स कैलकुलेशन की तरफ जाते हैं. और दूसरी चीज जो बात याद रखने की है कि हम जब फोर्स निकाल रहे होते हैं, तो उसका मकसद ये नहीं होता कि हम ये कहें या हम ये सोचें कि बिल्डिंग के ऊपर या हमारे स्ट्रक्चर के ऊपर इतनी ही फोर्स लगेगी. वो फोर्स तो एक एस्टिमेट होता है जो कि कैपेसिटी का होता है कि आपको इतनी कैपेसिटी तो रखनी है. एंड वी रियलाइज कि जब फोर्स होगी तो वो फोर्स इससे एक्सीड करेगी. स्ट्रक्चर जो है लीनियर से नॉन लीनियर रेंज के अंदर परफॉर्म करना होगा स्ट्रक्चर को. तो ये सारी चीजें भी जहन में रखने की जरूरत होती है. सिर्फ एक एलिमेंट साइज्मिक हैजर्ड का जो है वो ही वाहिद या इम्पॉर्टेंट नहीं होता. बाकी चीजें भी हैं जिनकी अपनी अपनी इम्पोर्टेंस है और जो कलेक्टिवली किसी भी स्ट्रक्चर की परफॉर्मेंस में कंट्रीब्यूट करती हैं.
सर ब्रिगेडियर साहब, सर हम जब ये फॉर्मुलेट कर रहे थे तो आई अंडरस्टैंड रॉजर बिलम वाज इन्वॉल्वड इन द फर्स्ट 2007 में, and he's an authority. मतलब वो ठीक है उसका जो भी एटीट्यूड था.
I have serious
सर उसके बारे में थोड़ा सा बताइए कि how was, why did we, I mean, Fawad Najam and Dr. Ali did a terrific job at the end and there are no complaints, but there was a lot of, for example, Karachi के ऊपर बात हुई. Karachi is in zone 2B, sir. And if you look at the Makran thrust fault and the risk posed by that, probably उस वक्त हम जो थोड़े से आइडियलिस्ट थे तो हम कुछ और कह रहे थे. तो what do you think about कि वो 2B होना चाहिए या थोड़ा सा उसमें कोई आगे पीछे होनी चाहिए, सर?
See, there is no doubt that Karachi, Islamabad do not lie in 2B. In UBC 97, even if you look at the seismic coefficients for UBC 97, I saw it's 4 in UBC 97 for Lahore, not for Lahore, for Islamabad and Karachi.
And OBO maybe, sir.
Yes. So, talking about Rajar Bilam,
I mean,
he was, I don't know who and why he was invited in that meeting which we attended for the first time. Actually, he was visiting Pakistan Engineering Council and he made very derogatory remarks against NESPAC. For example, he used syllables like absurd, ridiculous, and he was commenting on the effort of the NESPAC, which I actually objected to Rajar Bilam that perhaps you need to, you know the language more than we know, so please be careful enough. 2005 के अंदर जो पहले आपका क्वेश्चन ये था 2005 और 21 में फर्क क्या है? 2005 was only seismic provision, whereas once we came to 21, then we included all aspects of Pakistan building of the building code. Now, दूसरी चीज जो perhaps which we need to discuss here, we should not go into the nitty gritty के जी क्या कैसे ये उसकी एप्लीकेशन होगी, साइज्मिक वैल्यूज क्या लेंगे या रेजिस्टेंट फैक्टर्स हम क्या लेंगे. मेरा उसके बारे में बहुत डिफरेंट ओपिनियन है. फॉर एग्जांपल, we have mathematical tools today where perhaps we don't need to use R. I for one, in my office, I don't allow them using R factor. But I tend to agree that we can go wrong at times because our structural engineers may not be able to model the way, you see, a structure is designed. इसलिए मैं बार बार हमेशा से एकेडमिक इंस्टीट्यूशंस और टीचर्स और स्टूडेंट्स और इंजीनियर्स की बात करता हूँ. इट इज us actually who can take building code to the right direction, to the construction industry to the right direction, and to the implementation of this whole thing, very important. Talking of implementation, for example, आप कहते हैं जी कि जी वो वेटिंग के 3 हैं या 4 होते हैं. I was one, for example. Once I insisted, no, you can't use UBC 97. You have to use IBC, for example. I was removed from the list. So we have to live within these limitations and try to do as much as we can. Perhaps in hindsight, I shouldn't have objected so violently that, you must follow 2021. एक और एस्पेक्ट जब हम 2007 का कर रहे थे, उस वक्त भी हमारी बहुत ज़्यादा डिबेट हुई कि IBC 2000 की जाए या UBC 97 की जाए. And ultimately we agreed on UBC 97 with the logic and with the reason which came up was that our engineers, our design engineers are not capable enough. They are not trained enough to use UBC 97, IBC 2000. Again, this question, as you all know, when we are doing 2021, this question came up again. And my view was that, you see, 2007 हमने बना दी, UBC 97 किसी को नहीं आई, ना समझ आती है ना आएगी. तो 2021 में भी अगर हम 97 के ऊपर ही बैठे रहे तो why not 2021? Maybe 1%, 5.5% people will start, you see, looking into the mechanics of the latest design provision. तो इस सारे पर्सपेक्टिव के अंदर मेरा अगेन है कि जी जो एकेडमिक इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैं, they must take leading role. I'm not denying this. That you see, construction industry or developers or all those, they are not, and of course the government policy actually. But academic institutions have to take the lead. They have to tell us, they have to tell their engineers actually what is R. साहब, मैंने जितने लोगों से सवाल पूछा है कि R क्या है, मैं जब वेटिंग करता हूँ तो मैं आई आस्क दिस क्वेश्चन, तो वो आर उनको नहीं पता. उनका जी कोड में ये लिखा हुआ है कि ये है तो इसको मैंने ये इतनी वैल्यू लगानी है. Why this? Nobody knows. So perhaps curriculum की changes भी ज़रूरत हैं. Ethics in engineering is one thing which we are lacking actually in this country. Again, institutions and teachers are responsible. I should not say responsible. They are responsible, but perhaps they need to put in more effort toward these aspects. Unless professional ethics are implemented and we start believing in ethics, I don't think so we can go anywhere. Yeah. So we'll keep on making codes and they will not be followed.
Durrani sahab, अगर यहाँ पे बात हो रही applicability of R, applicability of 5 values as used in the US, do you think there should be any change in those? And
no.
And sir, मतलब उसकी जो भी whatever is, why do you feel like that?
See, these R values are at best arbitrary. I mean, they are a certain milestone in the seismic design, after which the structure enters into the nonlinear mode and there is energy dissipation post-elastic. Now, if this R is moved here or there, unless there is proper detailing, the additional path the design has to take, that will not be very much affected by the R value. But by the detailing, it will be affected to that extent. So if maybe that is not 100% applicable to Pakistan, so I have no inhibition in using it because I know it's not the end of the design. It is a hallmark or just a milestone in.
बिल्कुल सही रिजवान साहब
Same question.
नहीं सर थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट इतना आसान नहीं हम सो हम ज्यादातर पाकिस्तान में सर इनफिल वॉल्स यूज करते हैं मैसनरी इनफिल वॉल्स वो लोग यूज करते हैं ज्यादा ड्राई वॉल्स जिप्सम वॉल्स वहां पे जो फ्रेम का एक्शन होता है वो और है हमारे यहाँ और है हम लोग बहुत ख्याल से एक एक चीज कैलकुलेट करते हैं उसको एज अ फ्रेम डिजाइन करते हैं और जब बनाने लगते हैं तो ड्राइंग्स के अंदर गैप नहीं होता बिटवीन साइज्मिक between your seismic structure and your masonry walls. So in that context, sir, would you think R की वैल्यू वही एप्लीकेबल होनी चाहिए जो कि हमें कोड्स में मिलती है नंबर 1 नंबर 2 कंक्रीट की स्ट्रेंथ सर इन लाहौर इज प्रोबेबली हाफ अगर आप 6000 PSA कहेंगे तो रेडी मिक्स वाला 3000 दे रहा है मेरे ख्याल से तो फी की वैल्यू 0.5 होनी चाहिए आपका क्या ख्याल है इस पे
These are two different questions. First question has about 3 or 4 dimensions. First of all, when the infill frame is snug fit with the frame, with the main concrete frame, many things would change. One, the period of the vibration of the structure would change. That has nothing to do with R. Secondly, the ductility of the system would also change. It would not fall under the same system by its very definition that it normally would, had there been no infill there. 3, the method of analysis would change or should change. If you just ignore the presence of the infill masonry, you are making a blunder. If there is masonry on the exterior frames, for instance, exterior plane frames, they will become rigid, initially invite more force, and that greater force would initially damage those exterior frames, and then there'll be a redistribution later on, and the force will be transferred to the interior frames. So I think it will be, well, I should say, I should not, attach it with I think. I am sure that you should clearly state whether the frame is part of your concrete frame or it is not. When it is not, then you detach it, physically detach it. There is no other option. There are, compression struts that will form if the earthquake is on one side and compression strut on the other direction. Ultimately, that compression strut will be destroyed. So a load would again be transferred to the frame. So this is a point very well taken, and it is ignored. I agree, and it shouldn't be. And it is also correct that in the US and in the Western world, in the Americas, and in Europe, they do not have such heavy walls as their filling material for the frames. There are lighter materials available. This is first question. Second question is R. This is what you said. Well, R, to my mind, I don't mean to say that I differ with any one of my respected colleagues. I tend to agree more with Naeem Durrani that R is, it's a notional or conceptual milestone where the code states explicitly or implicitly that now this is where the elastic range has ended. And the designer then is bound to adopt certain measures for introducing the required ductility to the system. So when you say this R is, say, higher than a lower R, it means more ductility would be built into the system. By who? By the code. Just because you are following the code. By forcing a certain level of detailing on you, the code is ensuring that the structure will have the ability to go into longer escapades into the non-elastic range. and return more elastic strain energy than absorb. This is where the inherent, as has been said, working of the earthquake resistant, modern earthquake resistant design comes in. We can't fight with an earthquake. We can't, design for the entire force. We have to live with a level at which we agree that, all right, now the nonlinear range state starts, and now there'll be damage. We live with the damage. The building should not just fall over our heads. That is the limit. So, in order to ensure that, code enforces a certain level of ductility, which is tied to R. So, I think, well, it may be a friendly difference of argument, a very academic difference of argument, that R should not be much different, while phi may be different. Yeah.
0.5, sir.
I can't say. Statistical studies would be required.
वो 0.5 ही आएगी, sir. Last question before I open the floor for questions of the audience. Dr. साहब, हमने ये देखा था कि मिट्टी से ऊपर सोना होता है, हमें पता लगा मिट्टी ही सोना होती है, लेकिन इसके अंदर my question perhaps on a serious note is that we use the response spectrum parameters which are reflective of bedrock level shaking, and Pakistan में ये किसी को पता ही नहीं है कि there is a niche कि आप उस सिग्नल्स को अटेन्यूएट करें, सरफेस अपने फाउंडेशन लेवल के बॉटम तक लेकर आएं और उनको यूज करें, विच इज बेसिकली चैप्टर 21 ASCE 716 और साइट स्पेसिफिक रिस्पॉन्स स्पेक्ट्रम पैरामीटर्स. मुझे कोई जियोटेक्निकल इंजीनियर इस मुल्क में बता दें जो कि ये काम कर रहा हो, क्योंकि दिस फॉल्स स्क्वेयरली इन द जियोटेक्निकल डोमेन. और मैं एज अ स्ट्रक्चर इंजीनियर मेरे पास वक्त नहीं होता, लेकिन मैं आधा पौना तक कर चुके हैं, बट आई डोंट हैव द कॉन्फिडेंस ऑन दैट बिकॉज इट इन्वॉल्व्स अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स. मैंने सैफ को आईडेप में सैफ को और दूसरे लोगों को ट्रेन किया था, वो लोग अब क्लाइंट हो गए. तो बट यू आर ए प्रैक्टिशनर, आप मुझे मेरी I mean, I'm little bit frustrated on this one because this is so fundamental. We are designing our structures on bedrock level seismic parameters, and no one here understands कि they need to be attenuated. सबसे पहले तो वैसे by the way बिल्डिंग कोड ऑफ पाकिस्तान में जो भी आपको पैरामीटर्स मिले उसको 1.1 से मल्टीप्लाई करना ना भूलिए, क्योंकि they are not maximum direction. अब मैं आपके क्या मैं आई डोंट वांट टू बट 1.1 से मल्टीप्लाई करना ना भूलिएगा उनको, क्योंकि उनके फाइन प्रिंट जरूर पढ़ लीजिए, ठीक है, उसको टेबल को ना सिर्फ देखिए. लेकिन सो माय क्वेश्चन इज व्हाई हैव वी नॉट adopted that and how can we go in that direction? No, actually, please मेरी ईमेल ले लीजिए, अगर कोई करता है तो जरूर मुझे बताए, लेकिन आई कैन क्लेम कि कोई जियोटेक्निकल इंजीनियर को ये नहीं पता नहीं जो मैं बात कर रहा हूँ. डॉक्टर साहब अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट आई एम सेइंग. जी बताइए. वो सर उसका जवाब मैं आपको डिनर पे जरूर दूंगा अभी लेकिन आप इसको वर्टिकल अटेन्युएशन की बात करें पहले, बिकॉज दैट श्योर.
अच्छा, इसमें there are a couple of things जो इससे पहले की discussion हो रही थी, and obviously I don't understand structures good enough, so I don't understand the R and the phi, the discussion that goes on, but just to build up, because I see there are a lot of students here, so it's just for their knowledge as well, because you see 2007 में काम हुआ, and it took us 15 years to reach there, and probably next time some of you will be at this stage taking up this responsibility of upgrading that code. So what I firmly believe is that इस तरह की limitations और इस तरह के disagreements are good, because the gaps, identification of gaps is always the step number one. And in the same way, although I was part of the committee and basically the group which formulated the geotechnical part, but I can identify myself 10 things which I am not comfortable with actually as a practicing engineer in the geotechnical part. So my point is ki just to highlight this thing, that these things are healthy in basically, or they should be taken in that spirit. Now coming to the actual question which is asked, I think it's probably a problem of us being a developing country. और मैं अगर purely geotechnical spectrum की बात करूं, तो उसकी सबसे बड़ी limitation ये है कि unfortunately we have not been able to evolve out of the standard penetration test. That's what our whole geotechnical engineering is about, and you'd find a lot of research and people writing research papers how standard penetration test itself is not standard. Whatever you would do, even the fall of the hammer that we want, वो हम fall of the hammer को consistent नहीं रख सकते, even if we use automatic hammers or whatever. So that's the unfortunate reality of our industry. That और यहाँ से वो सारी चीज शुरू होती है. There is a step ahead in that direction. If you look at the Building Code of Pakistan, which is obviously, as we have already discussed, IBC 2021 के ऊपर बेस करता है, but और या ASC आपको 721 के ऊपर बेस कर रहे हैं. So the point is there has been an evolution, और वो evolution ये है कि आप अगर Building Code of Pakistan 2007 को देखें और उसमें जो seismic provisions हैं, जब हम seismic site class classification करते हैं, तो that over there you have the option whether you can pick whether you can do it based upon SPTN or wave velocities.
May I, sir?
Yeah.
ASC 722 में SPTN खत्म कर दिया.
So that's what I'm getting into. That's what I'm getting to actually. So that has, at least on the documentary level, ये एक बेहतरी है जो कि हम Building Code of Pakistan में कर पाए हैं कि we have actually been able to eliminate that standard penetration. और इसका मतलब ये है कि अब आप अपनी साइट के ऊपर at least कोई seismic method like the downhole or the crosshole surveys करके you get the wave velocities, and we've got experience of working on some projects. In fact, Dr. Fawad के साथ ही we had experience of working on a few projects where you could see कि since standard penetration test, it's a large strain test, और उसमें से जो रिलेशनशिप सब्सिक्वेंटली यूज किए जाते हैं मॉडुलस के लिए या किसी भी पैरामीटर के लिए, तो हाउ कंजर्वेटिव दोज आर, सो how reasonably accurate results we are able to get by using those small strain modelers that we get from wave velocities. So to answer your question in a relatively non-technical, simple saying one-liner, probably when our geotechnical investigation industry is going to evolve from the standard penetration test to modern in situ testing techniques, probably that will be the day कि हम ये सब चीजों को बेहतर
बिल्कुल ठीक है. And आप इन evolve करनी है. So anyways, एक जो चीज़ हमने बिल्डिंग कोड ऑफ पाकिस्तान 2022 में अलाउ की जो पहले नहीं थी, वो परफॉर्मेंस बेस्ड डिज़ाइन है. And I think that is a game changer because you don't have to use R, you don't have to use standard framing systems. Anyways, so I'll conclude the discussion here and open the floor for questions. Ilyas.
पैनल ने एग्री किया कि इस्लामाबाद जो है वो जोन 3 में आता है, ऐसे ही है। चलें फिलहाल जोन 3 पे ही रख लेते हैं। तो इवन
नॉट टॉकिंग ऑफ जोन्स एनीमोर,
एनी फॉर एग्जांपल हम जोन 3 SDC-D में चले जाएं, SDC-D में चले जाएं, ठीक है। तो आपको पता है इस्लामाबाद में 95 से कोई 96% बिल्डिंग जो है वो 2B के corresponding डिज़ाइन हो चुकी हैं, डिटेल हो चुकी हैं, बन चुकी हैं, खड़ी हैं। तो 96% हाई राइज।
I question your percentage. They are not based on 2B as well.
नो, जो अभी आ रही हैं वो SDC। जी सर, आप यूफोन टावर को देख लें, जो हाई राइज की बिल्डिंग की बात कर रहा हूँ, इसी लाइन में सारी उसकी सारी की डिटेलिंग जो है वो 2B के हिसाब से हुई है, पूरी बेल्ट की।
वो जो टावर गिरा था वो 2B पे नहीं था।
उसको सर आप इग्नोर कर दें। मेरा सवाल ये है कि क्या वो अगर अर्थक्वेक हाई जोन मजा आता है तो वो दे विल नॉट बी सस्टेन।
Talk of the expected accelerations which we have derived out of the data which is available to the seismic engineers in Pakistan and geologists. Yes, if we experience the velocities and acceleration as expected, they will not survive.
हमारे यहाँ ये बात कहनी पड़ती है, बाहर वाले खुद ही समझ जाते हैं कि जब नहीं करेगा तो नहीं। मैं आई वॉज लुकिंग एट अ पाइल जो 3 स्टोरी डाउन थी और उसके पीछे उसके ऊपर कोई कंक्रीट नहीं थी, सिर्फ बार्स जा रही थी नीचे। इट वाज अ शोरिंग पाइल एंड इज ऑफ अ प्रोजेक्ट इन इस्लामाबाद सर। एंड आई एंड डॉक्टर इरफान वर सेइंग यार हमें शर्मिंदा हो जाना चाहिए, इतनी किताबें पढ़ने के बाद दिस शुड नॉट हैव स्टूड, बट वो खड़ी थी। बट वो है जुगाड़। अब आपकी मर्जी है, आपने जुगाड़ करनी है या आपने साइंस पे जाना है। अगर किताबों में जाना है तो किताबों के मुताबिक तो नहीं खड़ा रहना चाहिए। एनी अदर क्वेश्चंस?
डिस्कशन के लिए मैं CNW डिपार्टमेंट से हूँ, डायरेक्टर प्लानिंग एंड डिज़ाइन हाईवेज। तो पहले तो सर ये जो आपने कहा है कि बिल्डिंग कोड ऑफ पाकिस्तान, जी पंजाब सर, ये बिल्डिंग कोड ऑफ पाकिस्तान को हम CNW में फॉलो नहीं कर रहे, इतनी बड़ी आपने स्टेटमेंट दे दी है सर। ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, हम फॉलो कर रहे हैं, ठीक है। 100% फॉलो नहीं कर रहे हैं, उसकी भी एक रीज़न है कि बिल्डिंग कोड ऑफ पाकिस्तान 2007 को जब हमने उसको फॉलो करने की कोशिश की, उसमें मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द थिंग्स आर द सेम एज UBC 97। तो उसके बाद हमने कहा नए कोड पढ़ के उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करेंगे, इट्स बेटर कि हम जहाँ चल रहे हैं उसी पे चलते रहें। और सेकेंडली सर जो सबसे बड़ा फ्लॉ है हमारा, मुझे जहाँ पे मौका मिलता है मैं इस चीज़ को लेके आता हूँ, यहाँ पे मौका मिल रहा है, यहाँ पे भी डिस्कशन में रख रहा हूँ। 2012 में टनल कोलैप्स करती है जापान में, तो वहाँ पे कानून पास होता है कि हमारे जितना इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है उसकी पीरियडिक इंस्पेक्शन होगी। 3 साल का कुछ 5 साल का उन्होंने पीरियड रख लिया एज स्ट्रक्चर्स को मद्देनजर रखते हुए, जो कि आज मेरे पास बेसिकली हाईवेज है, जितने हमारे पास ब्रिजेस हैं, कल्वर्ट्स हैं, वो हैं मेरे पास पंजाब की जितनी हैं, वो हम डिज़ाइन हम खुद कर रहे हैं। वहाँ पे हम सिस्टम डेवलप कर रहे हैं कि उनकी पीरियडिक मेंटेनेंस इंस्पेक्शन हो, ताकि हमारे पास डाटा आए, कल को हमने कोई डिसीजन लेना है वो हमारे लिए आसान हो। बिल्डिंग कोड ऑफ पाकिस्तान 2007 में बना था, अब 14-15 साल लगे उसको अब रीशेप कर रहे हैं। अब रीशेप करने से सर इसमें सबसे जो इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ थी, जो डॉक्टर मसूद ने भी डिस्कस की कि डाटा इज़ एवरीथिंग। अनफॉर्चुनेटली हमारे पास डाटा नहीं है। हमें कोड को हम उसी वक्त तक एक बेहतर फॉर्म में ला सकते हैं, जैसे सर ने कहा कि हम उसको लिखने की पोजीशन में नहीं है। उसकी वजह सिर्फ और सिर्फ यही है कि हमारे पास डाटा नहीं है। 15 साल गुजरने के बाद भी हम यही स्टेटमेंट दे रहे हैं कि हमारे पास डाटा नहीं है। जो 2007 में अल्टीमेटली 2005 के अर्थक्वेक के बाद हमने ये स्टेटमेंट दे के हमने UBC 97 को फॉलो करना शुरू कर दिया। अगर 15 साल के बाद भी हम यही स्टेटमेंट दे रहे हैं तो इसके ऊपर नज़रसानी करने की ज़रूरत है कि आने वाले वक्त में जब हम कोड लिखने जाएँ, ऐसा ना हो कि हम फिर वही स्टेटमेंट दें कि हमारे पास डाटा नहीं है। तो हमें अल्टीमेटली जो हमारी ASCE की प्रोविजंस हैं या UBC की प्रोविजंस हैं या पिछला बिल्डिंग कोड ऑफ पाकिस्तान है, उसको फॉलो कर लिया जाए। तो मेरी सबमिशन यही थी सर, कोड के साथ साथ जो हमारा डाटा कलेक्शन है उसको फोकस करें, और जो हमारा एकेडेमिया है इसको ऑन बोर्ड लें। जो हमारी साइज्मिक प्रोविजंस हैं, डॉक्टर इरफान मेरे एडवाइज़र भी रहे हैं, अभी MSc में भी हैं, इन्होंने भी कुछ प्रोजेक्ट्स किए जो बिल्डिंग्स के ऊपर साइज्मिक जो हमारी है प्रोविजंस हैं उसको नोट करने के लिए आइसोलेटर्स वगैरह इंस्टॉल करवाएं हैं। उस तरह की चीज़ों की तरफ भी फोकस करना चाहिए। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
आपसे शायद मेरा आपको मेरा बैकग्राउंड तो पता ही होगा,
जी जी सर।
फिर आपको ये भी पता होगा कि मेरा CNW से कैसे इंटरेक्शन रहा और कितना इंटीमेट इंटरेक्शन रहा है।
सर आपका असल मैंने बताया कि मैं हूँ हाईवे से,
नहीं, मैं
आपका बिल्डिंग से सर रहा हो जी।
रियाज साहब आपके चीफ इंजीनियर हैं,
रियाज मलिक जी सर।
ठीक है। जो बात मैंने की है शायद आपको मालूम नहीं है, उस बात में उसके गवाह यहाँ पे 2 बैठे हैं, नाम नहीं लूंगा उनके, उस मीटिंग के, ठीक है।
सर रियाज मलिक साहब फील्ड
मेरी
इंजीनियर थे, वो डिजाइन इंजीनियर नहीं थे।
मेरी बात तो सुने ना। देयर वाज एन इनिशिएटिव by me when I was working for the government of Punjab to update the code followed by the government departments. There was a big pushback from CNW. उस मीटिंग के अंदर, मैं नाम नहीं लूंगा, उस मीटिंग के अंदर कहा गया, मैंने उनको कहा जी जो आपकी 1965 की बुक है इसको अभी तक जंग नहीं लगा। उन्होंने कहा जी हमारे SDOs इतने ट्रेंड नहीं है, ये कोड कौन इम्प्लीमेंट कराएगा साइट के ऊपर, ठीक है जी। दूसरा जो आपके मोहब्बताना मुरासिम होते हैं, हमारे भी रहे हैं 1-2 एजेंसियों के साथ, एक लोकल हैं, एक माशाल्लाह नेशनल है। वो आके जब सबसे पहले कोर निकालती हैं और सिलेंडर स्ट्रेंथ टेस्ट करती हैं, तो जो कुछ वो करती हैं उसके बाद वो आपको भी पता है और हमें भी पता है। दूसरा उन्होंने कहा जी ये अगर स्टैंडर्ड हमने रख दिए कंक्रीट की स्ट्रेंथ के, हम तो सारे अंदर हैं,
ऐसे ही है।
ठीक है जी। तो देयर वाज अ बिग पुश बैक। मैं MRS कमेटी के अंदर आई वाज अ मेंबर, मैं वो वाहिद बंदा था जिसको बाहर से CNW के अंदर से डाला गया था बाय समवन। देयर वाज अ बिग पुश बैक। हमने स्पेसिफिकेशंस दी IDAP ने, उन स्पेसिफिकेशंस के अंदर पहली दफा आपके FC प्राइम को 2000 या 2500 से ऊपर किया था हमने, और मेरे ख्याल से 2500 से नीचे आप रख नहीं सकते एज पर बिल्डिंग कोड ऑफ पाकिस्तान, एज पर ACI आप 2500 से नीचे रख नहीं सकते।
हम भी सर 2500 ही यूज कर रहे हैं मिनिमम, इससे नीचे नहीं जा रहे।
मैं आपकी बात बिल्कुल समझ रहा हूँ। सो ये मत कहिए कि आप बिल्डिंग कोड ऑफ पाकिस्तान या ACI फॉलो कर रहे हैं, आप लोग नो, आप लोगों को 1965 की स्पेक्स हैं, आप लोग उसको यूज कर रहे हैं। हाँ, आप जहाँ पे हैं वहाँ पे वो आपके साथ मेरा ऐसा से वो एक वो हाँ हाँ नहीं, एक आपके सीनियर थे जिन्होंने, उनके साथ मेरा इंटरेक्शन 2-4 दफा हुआ है। आप लोग एस्ट्रो फॉलो कर रहे हो, लेकिन वो भी 1998 का फॉलो कर रहे हैं या 2000 का फॉलो कर रहे हैं, वो भी आप लेटेस्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं। लेकिन मैं बहरहाल, हमारी मोहब्बत पुरानी है, रहेगी, ठीक है। अब आप डॉक्टर रफ़ी साहब आपको कुछ कहना चाह रहे हैं, क्योंकि आपने कहा जी कि डाटा नहीं है, और देखिए अंडरस्टैंड करें डाटा किसका नहीं है। हमारे पास साइज्मिक डाटा, डिसेंट नंबर, डिसेंट वैल्यूज हमारे पास, हमें डिसेंट एस्टिमेट्स हैं साइज्मिक हैजर्ड के। उसकी एडॉप्शन के अंदर मसला ज़रूर होता है, जिसके अंदर मैं आउटलायर था मेरे साथ कुछ और यंग लोग भी थे, लेकिन हमें पता है। आप अगर कोड से बाहर जाएं ना, डॉक्टर वसीम के पेपर ही उठा के देखें, और वही लोग बिल्डिंग कोड ऑफ पाकिस्तान उन्होंने लिखा है, उन्हीं के पेपर देखिए, रिसर्च पेपर्स जो उसी वक्त पब्लिश हुए हैं, उसमें उसमें कुछ और वैल्यूज हैं S1 और SS की, और बिल्डिंग कोड ऑफ पाकिस्तान में कुछ और है। तो बस यहीं पे हम रेस्ट करते हैं। इसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि अगर आपके पास इनकम्प्लीट डाटा है तो आप 28 साल पुराने कोड पे रहें। मेरी ओपिनियन में यू मेक द बेस्ट ऑफ व्हाट यू हैव। डॉक्टर साहब,
मेरा ख्याल है एक दो क्लैरिफिकेशन है। एक तो ये मेरा ख्याल है थोड़ी सी ज्यादती वाली एक्सपेक्टेशन है। अगर हम ये एक्सपेक्ट करें कि 15 साल एक ऐसा ड्यूरेशन है जिसमें हम एक अमेरिकन कोर्ट के बराबर पहुंच जाएंगे डाटा कलेक्शन और डाटा जनरेशन के हवाले से, तो 15 साल तो गालिबन इज़ नॉट इनफ। इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ ये है कि क्या हमने इन 15 सालों में कोई एक स्टेप आगे लिया कि नहीं लिया। तो मैं आई एम ग्लैड टू से कि हाँ ऐसा हुआ है। और परहैप्स ये मेरी थोड़ी सी गलत अंदाज में मैंने कहा, ऐसा नहीं है कि डाटा हमने नहीं किया। मैंने कहा था कि जो डाटा अवेलेबल था वो हमने इंक्लूड किया, जो कि एक डिफरेंस है बिटवीन 2007 एंड 2021। तो जो भी अवेलेबल था वो हमने इंक्लूड किया, उसको इंडिजिनाइज करके। ये इसके सब के बावजूद हाँ, हमें अभी भी बहुत डाटा चाहिए, और उसके लिए हम वहाँ पर भी ये डिस्कशन करते रहे कि हम इसकी कोई प्रायोरिटाइज करें कि हर यूनिवर्सिटी को या डिफरेंट यूनिवर्सिटीज़ को डिफरेंट टास्क दिए जाए। लेकिन आप भी समझते हैं, सब हम भी, मेरा ख्याल है हर आदमी ये समझ सकता है, रिसर्च बगैर पैसे के नहीं हो सकती। तो जब तक इतनी फंड्स ना आ जाए कि हम ये सब काम एक कोऑर्डिनेटेड तरीके से कर सकें, उस वक्त तक हम जो अभी तक कर रहे हैं कि अपने तौर पे वन ऑफ या इंडिविजुअल के तौर पे जो काम कर रहे हैं यूनिवर्सिटीज़, वो ही काम हो सकता है और वो काम चलता भी रहेगा। तो 2007 2021 का मेजर डिफरेंस ये है कि जो डाटा मौजूद था वो हमने यूज़ किया है। लेकिन इस सब के बावजूद फैक्ट ये है कि हमें बहुत सारी इंफॉर्मेशन, बहुत सारा डाटा फ्यूचर में भी चाहिए।
वैसे कभी ऊंचा बोलता हूँ, मेरा आवाज चली गई। मेरी गुजारिश ये है कि हम बार बार कंपेयर कर रहे हैं 2007 को बाद वाले जो भी रिसेंट कोड है, इससे असल जो आप समझिए कि जंप आया है वो 1986 के और 2007 के कोड में आया है, जिसका जिक्र कम देखने में मिलता है। 1986 का जो कोड था, that was quite arbitrary in terms of its the way it handled earthquake resistant design. Of course, it was based on the initial parts of the Uniform Building Code, initial editions, but the seismic zoning of that time was not a uniform risk coding zoning. The risk of every contour was not the same. That is to say that if we were to plot a contour on, say, as Dr. Saab has said, 10% of probability of accidents in the next 50 years, it did not reflect it. It just said that if there had been an earthquake in the past of a certain level at a certain location, it's going to happen again, which was totally incorrect. So that is where the real jump took place. Thereafter, there was a jump, I agree, because there was a jump even in the American code. There was a change of the approach even in the US. ASC 7 also changed from ASC 05 to where ASC 7 is standing today. There's a lot of difference. As Dr. Saab has pointed out, there is a whole, matrix of options available to the end user. It's for you to decide what kind of damage you are ready to accept. This is the change.
थैंक यू सर, ये बड़े अच्छा आपका पॉइंट है। और ओवरऑल अगर कोर्स की, मैं डॉक्टर इरफानुल हसन, मैं यूटी लाहौर में एसोसिएट प्रोफेसर हूँ जी। तो मैं इसमें मेनली जो कोर्स से जो रिलेटेड थिंग्स हैं उसमें तो कोई दो राय नहीं है, क्योंकि जहाँ हमारा यूबीसी फॉलो हो रहा था, फिर आपका आफ्टर 2005 अर्थक्वेक एक एसपी प्रोविजन पे 2007 कोड बनाया गया जिसमें नेस्पा इन्वॉल्व थी और भी। तो आफ्टर 15 इयर्स एक काफ़ी मेजर एक चेंज है। तो ज़ाहिर है इस पे काफ़ी पॉइंट्स इसलिए भी रेज हुए क्योंकि आपने जब जोनिंग इतनी बहुत ज़्यादा चेंज हुई जिसमें मल्टीपल रिसर्च इन्वॉल्व थी, SS और S1 और डिफरेंट जो सीज़मिक फैक्टर्स ही मेन रोल प्ले कर रहे हैं। आपके जो फोर्सेस चेंजेस हो रही हैं तो फैक्टर्स हैं। मेरा ख्याल है कि ज़ाहिर है एक ये अच्छी एफर्ट है कि कोड चेंज हो गया, आल दो उसके अंदर कुछ रिजर्वेशन ऐसी चीज़ें हुई कि कहीं पे वो यूबीसी ज़्यादा कंजर्वेटिव हो गया, या कहीं पे ये भी देखा गया कि जो हमारा नया सीज़मिक कोड है ये भी ज़्यादा मतलब कंजर्वेटिव रिजल्ट दे रहा था। स्पेशली जब आप SS1 की बात करते हैं तो एक मेजर चेंज आ जाता है, यानी कि आपने जब डिफरेंट सिटीज़ के एक ओवरऑल कोऑर्डिनेट्स बेस पे तो हमारे पास डाटा अवेलेबल ही नहीं है। तो वहाँ पे वही बात आती है कि हमारा ये जो डाटा है बेस्ड ऑन मल्टीपल रिसर्च था, तो फ्यूचर के अंदर ये रेपिटेशन की जाए कोड्स की कि जल्दी हमारा 4 या 5 साल बाद
हमारा कोड रिवाइज हो, जो अभी हमारे हम समझते हैं कि जो भी हमारे फैक्टर्स में जो भी हमारी वीकनेसेस रह गई हैं अगर इम्प्रूव हो सकती हैं, चाहे वो डाटा की बेस पर, जैसे एनडीएमए वाले भी कर रहे थे, जो हेल्थ सीज्मिक जो हैजर्ड असेसमेंट का डेवलप कर रहे थे, तो उनका क्या इन लाइन है उनके साथ हमारा जो जोनिंग अभी हमारी बन रही है, जो हमारे जो डिफरेंट कलर को डिफरेंट सिटीज़ के हमारे जोन फैक्टर्स आ रहे हैं, क्या हमारा यानी कि उनको भी ऑन बोर्ड लिया गया था कोड्स मेकिंग में? और दूसरा ये है कि क्या ये फ्यूचर में अगर हम चेंज करते हैं लेट से 2 इयर्स बाद दोबारा, ये तो एक अच्छी एफर्ट है कि पीईसी प्लेटफॉर्म पे कोड सेंट्रलाइज कोड बन गया है, कि क्या फ्यूचर में अगर हम 2 साल बाद चेंज करते हैं तो इन सब फैक्टर्स में कितना चांस है कि ये ज़्यादा चेंज हो? और दूसरा रिस्क कैटेगरी पे जब अब बात जाती है तो उसमें भी फिर कई ऐसी चीज़ें हैं कि जो डिफरेंट हमारा ऑलरेडी जो आईबीसी में रिस्क कैटेगरीज हैं, तो मोस्ट ऑफ चीज़ें हमने ऐसी भी अडॉप्ट की हैं जो कि उसमें आईबीसी के अंदर हैं। तो क्या ऐसा सब हम ऐसी अडॉप्ट कर सकते हैं? क्योंकि कई जगह अब लाहौर के अंदर भी कई जगह हमारा बड़ा क्रिटिकल यानी कि उसके रिजल्ट सीज में क्या आ रहे हैं। तो यही चीज़ें हैं कि कोर्स की जो रेपिटेशन है आफ्टर सर्टन टाइम, और उसमें ये फैक्टर्स अगर चेंज किए जाएँ, इम्प्रूव किए जाएँ, तो ये मतलब इसमें फर्दर इम्प्रूवमेंट आ सकती है। दूसरा, जहाँ तक एकेडमिक्स की बात हो रही थी, तो मेरा ख्याल है कि सारे जो आपके ग्रेजुएट्स हैं, नए जो जितनी भी यूनिवर्सिटी के प्रोफेसर्स हैं, टीचर्स हैं, तो इंटरनेशनल हम लेटेस्ट वो कोर्स फॉलो कर रहे होते हैं। जो अवेलेबल होगा कंप्लीट कोड, जैसे अब यूनिवर्सिटी है तो लेटेस्ट कोड मतलब इंट्रोड्यूस कर दिया गया है। एसीआई जैसे हर 3 साल बाद रिवाइज हो रहा होता है। तो इसी तरह ही है कि अगर ये भी ऐसा एक यानी कि बाय लाभ बन जाए, जैसे पीईसी ने अब कोड रिवाइज कर दिया, करिकुलम रिवाइज किया है, तो एक ओवरऑल नॉर्म बन जाए कि सारी यूनिवर्सिटीज़ वाले भी इसको फॉलो अप करें, यही कोड जो है सारे इसी को फॉलो अप करें। फिर इसके एंड पे जो यूबीसी फॉलोइंग है, इसमें कई सीनियर डिज़ाइनर्स को भी इस पे रिजर्वेशन हैं। कई यूनिवर्सिटी में अगर सीनियर किसी प्रोफेसर को रिजर्वेशन होगी कि ये नहीं फॉलो करना चाहिए, लेकिन कई जगह हमारे सीनियर कई डिज़ाइनर्स को भी रिजर्वेशन हैं, क्योंकि उनके रिजल्ट शायद वैसे काफ़ी डिफर कर रहे हैं कंपेयर टू द यूबीसी। तो ये भी एक फैक्टर्स हैं कि मेरा ख्याल है कि इनको अगर कंसिडर किया जाए, तो या तो इसको इस पे अगर सारे जैसे सादत साहब बात की कि डाटा कम्प्लीटली अवेलेबल हो और उस पर कॉन्फिडेंस हमारा ज़्यादा हो वैल्यूज़ पर, 5 वैल्यूज़ हैं या जितने भी सीज़मिक पैरामीटर्स हैं, और फिर इसको इम्प्लीमेंट कर दिया जाए पीईसी के थ्रू, यूनिवर्सिटीज़ के अंदर भी और हमारी जो कंसल्टिंग फर्म्स हैं उनके अंदर भी इसको अडॉप्ट किया जाए। तो इस बारे में मैं आपकी मतलब
मैं इसका वेरी ब्रीफली आंसर दिस, बिकॉज मैं अब देख रहा हूँ कि यूसीपी के बाद पैकेजेस वाले भी सोना शुरू हो गए हैं। इसको इम्प्लीमेंट, इस चीज़ पे शक मुझे नहीं समझ आती कहाँ से आ रहा है। दिस इज द लीगल डॉक्यूमेंट, दिस इज issued by the Pakistan Engineering Council. It is the law of land. The SRO, I have shared it with Durrani Saab, and I think ek do jagah pe aur clearly says the PEC has the mandate to revise it after every X number of years. I don't remember the number of years. So we exercise, the PEC, not we, the PEC exercised that that power given to it by the parliament and reviewed the code. अब मसला ये है कि it is a consensus document. अमेरिका के अंदर consensus means कि आप उनका अगर देखें ऑथर्स को, तो तमाम यूनिवर्सिटी के प्रोफेसर होते हैं, लेकिन वो उनकी रिसर्च भी फिर उस क्वालिटी की होती है। ठीक है जी। हमारे यहाँ एक कंसेंसस डॉक्यूमेंट तो बना है, लेकिन इस जिस तरह आज एहसन इकबाल साहब कह रहे थे, इट इज़ एक्सट्रीमली डिफिकल्ट कि हमारे अंदर यूनिटी नहीं है। अगर आप बनाएंगे तो मैं कहूँगा जी ये नहीं है, ये गलत है। सो ये चीज़ तो पॉलिटिकल है, ये टेक्निकल नहीं है। जहाँ तक बात है कि पूरे हमारे पास डाटा हो तो तभी हमारे पास कॉन्फिडेंस हो। आप मुझे ये बताएं, मैं आपको विंड की एग्जांपल देता हूँ। द रिटर्न पीरियड ऑफ विंड इज प्रॉब्ली 0.5%, जो नए कोड में है, मुझे याद नहीं है, 0.35, मैं कल देख रहा था आने से पहले, जस्ट ब्रीफली प्रिपेयर्ड, 0.35%। 300 years रिटर्न पीरियड है उसका, ठीक है जी। प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ एक्सीडेंस है 0.35%। उसका मतलब ये कि कम से कम 100-150 साल का डाटा होना चाहिए आपके पास विंड का। आपने तो अभी तक पिछले 15 साल से कलेक्ट कर भी लें तो अगले 85 साल तक आपके पास ये कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं होगा कि जी ये रिटर्न पीरियड की फ्रीक्वेंसी मेंटेन कर सकते हैं कि नहीं। तो क्या हम अगले 85 साल कोड ना फॉर्मुलेट करें? सो इस तरह की चीज़ें जो जो कि क्रोनोलॉजिकल ऑर्डर के अंदर हैं, उसका तरीका ये है कि हम जिस तरह से डॉक्टर रफ़ी ने कहा, दुरानी साहब, रिजवान साहब एंड ब्रिगेडियर साहब ने कहा कि पहला स्टेप तो लेना। हमारी यूनिवर्सिटीज़ के अंदर आप रिसर्च पेपर्स देखें, किसी एक यूनिवर्सिटी के अंदर आप मुझे दिखा दें कि जी द रिसर्च इज कि हमने लाहौर के अंदर विंड को मेजर करना शुरू कर दिया है और हम रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हैं। मैं आईडैप के अंदर था, आई एग्जीक्यूटेड 200 बिलियन रुपीस वर्थ ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट्स, बड़ी तरीके से चोरी करके साइज्मोमीटर लगवाने की कोशिश की। गवर्नमेंट का हाल बता रहा हूं, ठीक है। यकीन कीजिए बहुत तरह की अल्लाह ने माफ करे हरकतें की होंगी, लेकिन ये नहीं कर सका। ये हमारा रवैया है टूवर्ड्स डाटा कलेक्शन। लाहौर के अंदर एक आप ये छोड़ें, 2005 अर्थक्वेक की मुझे ग्राउंड मोशन रिकॉर्ड चाहिए थे। आपको 10 अजीब किस्म के लोगों के फोन आते हैं सबसे पहले, भाईजान क्यों चाहिए? उनको समझाना पड़ता है कि यार आई नीड दिस बिकॉज दिस इज द ओनली अर्थक्वेक, मेजर अर्थक्वेक दैट हैज हैपेंड इन। और उसकी रिकॉर्डिंग कहाँ कहाँ है? आपको बड़ी मजेदार बात बताऊं, मैंने गवर्नमेंट पंजाब को यूज किया टू गेट दैट डाटा दूसरे तरीके से। कहते हैं नीलम जेलम से ले लें जी, वो न्यूक्लियर प्लांट, वो उनसे पूछा, कहते नहीं कौन सा, हमारे पास तो कोई ऐसी चक्कर ही नहीं है, वो मरी से ले लें। मरी वाले ने कहा जी एक एक्सेस पे रिकॉर्ड हुआ है, दूसरे एक्सेस पे रिकॉर्ड नहीं हुआ। कर लें आपने जो करना है, ठीक है। सो आपको कितने साल चाहिए? अब अमेरिका के अंदर कितने साइजोमीटर्स हैं? आपके पास एक भी नहीं है। शुड वी वेट फॉर द नेक्स्ट 100 years? तो इस तरह नहीं होता।
आप बात कर रहे हैं, लोग कहते हैं ये दे डोंट एग्री विद दिस प्रोविजंस ऑफ द कोड। आई हैव नॉट come across any person who will give you his reservations in writing. I have been involved in some debates where I told them, okay, if you are feel very strong about it, just write it out and give it to Pakistan Engineering Council or whosoever you want to. Nobody is ready to write because I'm sorry, because they don't know what they're talking about. One thing. And then there is another thing. Once we talk of building codes, we say minimum requirements and for safety. Then how safe is safe? It's different for you, it's different for me, and it's different with everybody. So codes cannot satisfy each and every individual's requirement. So and the other thing, for example, the building codes, they are made by committees, and it's democratic way of deciding that, okay, this provision will go ahead or not. ACI, for example, I have attended meetings where these resolutions were passed. There were very strong objections and differences, but they said, no, we are going ahead. So I mean, we have to live with all these things, but we have to put our effort actually to go to the right direction. You are the right people actually who can do it.
बस इसमें बड़ा माइनर सा कमेंट है कि जो लोग प्रिस्क्रिप्टिव कोड नहीं यूज करना चाहते उनके लिए ऑप्शन मौजूद, परफॉर्मेंस बेस्ड रहेंगे,
यूज करें। ठीक हो गया। आपका सवाल हम जल्दी से लेंगे क्योंकि इस वक्त आगे भी मेरे ख्याल से एक टॉक है, मैं भूल गया था, बट वो नींद बहुत ज्यादा है। लेकिन चलें, वो ये सो जाएंगे, ना कीजिए, जरा थोड़ा सा जल्दी जवाब और हम जल्दी से जवाब ले लेंगे।
कोशिश करूंगा प्रिसाइज ही रखूं। असल में मैं खुद वाटर सेक्टर में हूं, मैं देखता हूँ कि हम लोग जितने वेरिएबल्स ले रहे होते हैं विद द पैसेज ऑफ टाइम वो वेरिएबल चेंज हो रहे हैं। जैसे रेनफॉल इंटेंसिटी का, उसके बाद हमारा ड्रेनेज सिस्टम टेस्ट हो जाता है, हाइड्रोलिक्स में फ्लड का। हमें पता होता है एज ए एक्सपर्ट के तौर पे, मेरा नाम डॉक्टर बाबर है, हमें पता होता है कि ये टेस्ट ऑफ द टाइम पास नहीं करेगा। टेस्ट ऑफ टाइम है अगले 25 ईयर्स का, 50 ईयर्स का, 100 ईयर्स का। स्ट्रक्चर में वो वेरिएबल्स तो बहुत ज़्यादा हैं। हम बिल्डिंग बनाते हैं अगले 50 साल के लिए, हमें पता है जो एक्सपर्ट्स हैं स्पेशली कि ये वेरिएबल तो तेज़ी से चेंज हो रहे हैं। स्पेशली अगर विंड को लें वो भी चेंज हो रहा है, अगर सिस्मिक एक्टिविटी को लें वो भी चेंज हो रहा है। देयर आर सो मेनी वेरिएबल्स इन स्ट्रक्चर एज वेल। तो ये रिलायबिलिटी लेके आना, हम कोड यूज़ कर सकते हैं, ये गारंटी है। हम एक डिज़ाइन भी ले आएंगे, उस डिज़ाइन की बेस के ऊपर कोई रिलायबिलिटी भी ले आएंगे। मेरा ये है कि हमें पता तो होता है कि फ्यूचर के जो चैलेंजेस हैं उसमें काम ये नहीं करेगा। तो व्हाट शुड बी द वे फॉरवर्ड?
अगर आप हाँ, मेरा ख्याल है ये तो बड़ा नॉर्म है कि आप जो डिजाइन करते हैं वो आज की इंफॉर्मेशन पे करते हैं, और जो 10 साल के बाद जो आपका डिजाइन की डेफिशिएंसी होती है यू कम बैक एंड एड्रेस इट। इसीलिए रेट्रोफिटिंग को यूज किया जाता है। तो कभी ये नहीं हो सकता कि हम आज का डिजाइन करने के लिए 10 साल इंतजार करें और फिर हम उसको डिजाइन करें। तो जो इंफॉर्मेशन आज अवेलेबल होती है हम डिजाइन में वो यूज करते हैं, और जब वो डेफिशिएंट हो जाता है तो हम कहते हैं अब इसको रेट्रोफिट की जरूरत है।
मैं छोटा सा आपको जवाब देता हूँ। आप यू आर अ डॉक्टर एंड यू नो ऑल दीज थिंग्स, यू कैन प्रिडिक्ट, सो कीप ऑन डिजाइनिंग द वे you think is right, and I can assure you nobody will question it because nobody understands what you are doing.
Thank you very much, everyone, for bearing with us. I hope this talk was interesting for everyone involved. I would thank Brigadier Saab, who traveled all the way from Rawalpindi to Lahore, Dr. Rafi, who traveled all the way from Karachi just for this talk. And then my two friends in Lahore, Durrani Saab and Rizwan Saab, I thank you very much. Lekin Irfan is a dear friend, and so हमें at the end हमें ख्याल है कि ओहो जियोटेक का बंदा ही हमने रखा, तो फिर हमने so thank you very much Irfan and everyone. Thank you जी.
Thank you so much, sir.